Dungeons. They are the worst curse placed upon the world. The final curse cast upon humanity by the demon lord slain 1,000 years ago by the legendary hero. The miasma and monsters overflowing from dungeons bear their fangs at humanity, following the demon lord's dying will. Adventurers from all the world challenge dungeons to break this curse. With that, Alto Reise, having graduated top of his class from the Adventurers Academy, works as a staff member at the Adventurers Guild to become a support for adventurers. The work of an Adventurers Guild staff member is extremely busy. Alto keeps himself busy with all the work needed at Tsukame shop. One thing about his job is when customers visit to order supplies. They've grown to become continued customers that Alto has almost memorized all their monthly orders, like parchment and ink, then quill pens. These customers even order sets of desks and chairs from the shop. Alto also handles quest acceptance duties and adventurer consultations. Furthermore, as his own special duty, Alto utilizes his specialty in summoning magic, providing rental services. When a customer asks if he could lend them some flying summons, Alto smilingly obliges and summons 3 wyverns. Seeing this with his own 2 eyes has the customer in awe and deeply grateful for Alto's help. Plus, Alto also offers introductory courses on summoning magic. With bookings becoming full for next month, Alto's unique services have become popular and the number of guild users have more than doubled. With all that he's done, Alto believes he has contributed to the guild's profits to some extent. Guild staff are civil servants compared to adventurers. It's a plain job with low pay, but it's an amazing job with stable wages and comprehensive benefits. Alto wants to let his mother, who raised him single-handedly, to live an easy life without any more unnecessary worry. That's why he gave up on his dream of becoming an adventurer while keeping his top student status at the Adventurers Academy and chose the path of a guild staff member instead. Not long, C-rank guild Nobleman's Garden guildmaster Desmond Taylor calls Alto for a talk in his office. Alto's already wondering what kind of snide remark the guildmaster's gonna make today too. Desmond Taylor is known to be a man who believes that guild staff are upper-class citizens and those work there must be of proud lineage, born of nobility chosen by the gods. Alto is the only one of farmer birth in this guild. Because of that, Alto has been subjected to bullying like harassment, but that will end in just 2 more weeks since there's an annual reassignment happening. Looking down, Alto's already convincing himself to endure whatever Desmond has to say. If he hangs in there a little longer, he'll escape this hell soon enough. Or so he thought. Without much notice, Desmond informs Alto he's fired effective today. This stuns the poor boy, protesting this sudden turn of events. He tries to defend himself, telling Desmond he's contributed to the guild's profits since he worked in the guild. Desmond then reveals the reason why Alto's fired. It's because he's of farmer birth, and a commoner like Alto, who's only good at summoning magic, should be grateful he's even allowed to work alongside noble and excellent people like Desmond for even a year. A sarcastic smile forms on Desmond's face before he bursts out laughing. He mocks Alto for thinking he'll never have to say goodbye to this guild. Who would have thought Alto would end up getting fired and left in the cold before his transfer? Alto shakes in pure frustration. This so-called guildmaster is really getting to him. However, he knows lashing out will be of no use. If does that, Alto will be playing right into Desmond's hands, for now he has to endure. And with that, Alto excuses himself, taking the terrible news with him. But before he could leave, Desmond calls his attention again. The guildmaster has the nerve to ask Alto to thank him for taking care of him for the year he's been at the guild. Turning around, Alto forces himself to bow down and choke out a sobbing thank you. After that, Alto goes running out of Desmond's office and onto the streets he went. He's so upset of the whole thing that he didn't even mind where he's going, bumping into people in the process. While walking, Alto thinks about his mom's reaction. He knows she'll be so disappointed to hear he got fired. Suddenly, strong wind blows by and hits Alto with a piece of newspaper. When he removes it from his face, the article catches his attention. There, he reads about his former classmates' success in their chosen fields. He smiles to himself, thinking how everyone's doing amazing compared to what he's reduced to now. Alto then continues his walk of despair towards home. Arriving home, Alto is surprised with a confetti bomb by his friends. Apparently it's his birthday. Yikes, that just makes the getting fired from work even worse. Anyways, Alto is shocked to see all his friends, Stella, Rex, and Rune, are here. He just read about them on the newspaper earlier and now they're here. When Alto asks why they're all here, it's Stella Garcia, B-rank adventurer and the Flamesword Princess, that tells him it's his birthday. They all coordinated their schedules to plan this surprise party. It's not just Stella here. C-rank adventurer, two-faced witch Lucy Farmy and B-rank adventurer, versatile dragon knight Rex Gardner are also here, looking excited and happy to see their friend. Alto's mom then comes and joins them, praising Alto for having such good friends. In her hands is a birthday cake. Alto had completely forgot his own birthday because of work. He's now 15 years old. Stella is the first one to hand over her gift. Blushing, Stella shares how the gift is quite rare, so she'd be happy if Alto treasures it. Rex also closes in to see what it is, revealing it to be a Shrine Maiden's crystal. Lucy is surprised because this said crystal is something people call the Love Stone. Hearing that, Rex teases Stella as he now knows why the Flamesword Princess has been going to the Shamanic Mountains a lot lately. The teasing continues and Stella has no choice but to defend herself, blushing as she tells her friends to stop. On the other hand, Alto thanks Stella for the gift and promises to take care of it forever. The word forever has Stella getting all fuzzy and her face is now beet red. After that, it's now Rex's turn to give out his gift. It's a sword made from refined 8-colored adamantine. And lastly, Lucy gives Alto a hand-knitted robe woven with ant magic properties. Truly, Alto is happy as he thanks everyone for being so thoughtful. Not long, the reunited friends all share a meal. As they sit and eat, the friends share stories and whatnot about their lives. Stella is randomly reminded of Rex stealing her prey the other day. Rex only laughs it off and asks her not to worry about it anymore. Lucy, on the other hand, mentions how the three of them have been running into each other a lot in dungeons lately. As the three converse, Alto remains quiet just listening to them talking. Suddenly, Stella turns to Alto and asks him about his work at the guild. This numbs Alto's whole body. Now everyone's intrigued. Knowing that Alto works at Nobleman's Garden Guild, they're all curious with how he's doing. They all know Alto, so they already bet he's doing something amazing like he always does. They all want to hear about it. Scratching the back of his head, Alto looks away as he awkwardly laughs. His three friends look confused. But after Alto gives them the 411, they're all shocked he got fired from the guild. The three adventurers are in disbelief over their friend getting fired. They all know how amazing Alto is, so why? Alto meekly reasons out on the guild's finances being tight lately. It seems he was targeted for personnel reduction or something like that. We all know that's not the main reason though. The three friends grow quiet over this news. It's Stella that reacts first, calling the guildmaster totally incompetent for firing Alto. Agreeing, Rex describes Desmond as someone who's got no eye for talent. Even Lucy believes the guildmaster doesn't understand Alto's true value and says Desmond should go back to the Adventurers Academy. All three of them get into an agreeing conversation about how cruel the guildmaster is and how wrong he did Alto. The summoner watches with a small smile on his face, touched with his friend's sincerity. Suddenly, all three of them turn to Alto and simultaneously asks him to join their individual group party. Dumbfounded, Alto stares at them as the three are starting to argue now. Stella wants Alto since she's been stuck being a solo unaffiliated for the past year. On the other hand, Rex has been training like crazy for the past year as well. And lastly, Lucy has been dedicating herself to magical training for the past year. All three of them want Alto for support and accompany them in their own party. Not long enough, Alto's mom comes back in the room and asks him if it's true that he got fired from the guild. He struggles to form a reply but settles to tell her the truth. Alto looks away as he apologizes to his mom, saying he's been thinking of going to the employment office tomorrow. When his mom calls this the perfect opportunity, Alto looks up to her in surprise. Contrary to Alto thinking his mom would be disappointed, she's absolutely happy. She calls this fate as all his three friends are inviting him to become an adventurer. However, Alto tells her being an adventurer is a dangerous job, and the pay and benefits are unstable. Before he could finish his reason, his mom cuts him off to ask if he's an old man for being too mature. Sighing, Alto's mom shares she's happy that her son worries for he, but she wants her son to live more freely. Alto's mom then reminds him how he only lives once. Still, Alto isn't so sure about it. That's when his mom pointedly asks him to answer like a man and to chase his dreams on becoming an adventurer. Otherwise, he can go to the employment office and look for another job tomorrow. When his mom doesn't budge, Alto quietly tells her his plans. Asked to speak up, Alto voices out how he really wants to become an adventurer. This makes his mom super happy and even slaps him on the shoulder. She then urges him to go and do his best. As Alto thanks his mom, his attention gets diverted back to his friends who are now playing rock, paper, scissors, to see who could have Alto as their companion. Unfortunately, it ends up in a tie for Rex and Lucy. That means Stella has won. Stella stares at her hands, which had formed a pair of scissors. Exclaiming her victory, she tells Alto they'll form a party together, to which the summoner is grateful for and counts on Stella from now on. Taking both his hands, Stella thanks him as well. She's looking forward to working with Alto, though the hearts might suggest a different kind of work in Stella's mind. Alto's mom then chimes in, saying her son is in capable hands if it's in the same party as Stella's. This catches Stella's attention, turning towards Alto's mom, who's now bowing down to ask to take care of her son, even though he can be a bit slow at times. Stella bows down in response, saying she's also inexperienced, so she'll count on Alto too. Hearing them interact, Rex and Lucy can't help but tease Stella about all this feeling like a marriage greeting. Stella frantically reacts, telling her friends she doesn't know what they're talking about. Alto's mom continues to compliment the adventurer and Alto's new companion. She'd always welcome a cute girl like Stella. Alto then asks his mom not to say stuff like that as it can be a bit rude to Stella. However, Alto's mom sees nothing wrong about it since Stella doesn't seem to mind. Meanwhile, Stella's eyes are forming hearts now. In her mind, always welcome means parental approval. But then again, Alto and her are still minors, so that kind of thing should wait until they're older. Upon seeing Stella, the summoner already has an inkling what's going inside her head and asks Stella to calm down since it was just his mom's bad joke. This stops Stella's delusional fantasy and awkwardly explains she already knew it was a joke and she understands perfectly. She awkwardly turns away, feeling disappointed with the whole ordeal. On the other hand, Rex raises a glass to celebrate Alto's birthday and the formation of a new party. Everyone cheers to this and soon enjoys the rest of the party talking and laughing together. The party only ends when the sky has turned dark and stars have decorated its entirety. The four friends walk outside, can't believing they talked so much it's already dark now. It's true when Lucy says time flies when you're having fun. Stella then apologizes to Alto for making him walk her home. Alto assures her it's no worries and he still has tons to talk about with them. Rex, who's been walking ahead, turns around to call Alto's attention to ask if the summoner wants to have a mock battle like old times. The girls get excited as this reminds them of their academy days. Lucy even wants to see Alto's summoning magic. It's been a year since she saw him use it. Alto thinks about it for a mere second before sighing in agreement to Rex's request. Both friends get ready for the mock battle, placing themselves opposite each other. Rex then tells the summoner a tab of 0 wins and 186 losses. When Rex asks Alto if he knows what this means, the summoner guesses this could be the record between the two friends' matches against each other. During the 3 years at the Adventurers Academy, Rex has never won against Alto, not even once. So right now, Rex wants to settle that score. He then tells Alto the signal to start will be per usual with flipping a coin. Once the coin in Rex's hand hits the ground, they begin. Rex immediately flips it after, and while it's in the air, Rex is already powering himself up. He also apologizes for the long break between their mock battles, but right now, Rex is going to go all out. As soon as the coin hits the ground, Rex summons his heavenly dragon possession, Water Dragon Zeldnera. Rex's eyes go white and his hair spikes up in response to the power. Alto is stunned to see his friend use this power. Borrowing the immense power of a celestial dragon is a secret technique of the Gardner family. With that, Rex lunges towards Alto with his sword. Before he could get to Alto, the summoner uses Flame Dragon Org and Thunder Dragon Ringa. Two monsters then manifest before Rex, shocking him as he quickly realizes Alto has used incantationless double summoning. Meanwhile, Alto apologizes to both Org and Ringa for this summoning and asks them to lend him their respective powers. Both Org and Ringa agree, of course. And now, Rex is left to fend of these two, a high-ranking spirit and an upper-class demon. As expected of Alto's summoning skill, it's in a whole other level. While Org uses Flame Durrani, Ringa uses its Lightning Roar Ash Dust. Attacking both at the same time, they release their powers at Rex and a massive explosion is both seen and heard by both girls. Stella has a hand over her mouth in awe of Alto's incredible destructive power. Lucy casually shouts for Rex too, asking if their friend is still alive. In Alto's mind, he could only wish it would end this easily. After the dust clears out, Rex comes out panting and huffing. He praises Alto for not holding back. If he were any other average adventurer, Rex would be charcoal by now. Alto is happy to see Rex though. He knows his friend had blocked his attack with the Water Dragon's Water Mirror. As expected of Rex, the versatile Dragon Knight. Laughing, Rex can't seem to accept his moniker as versatile, especially when it's coming from Alto. Kinda sounds like a sarcastic joke. Anyways, they're not done just yet as Rex unleashes yet another attack. His dragon technique, Miss Slash. Meanwhile, Alto expects nothing less from his friend and casually uses armed summoning King's Keysigurd and summons the Annihilation Sword Rhodos. With both boys armed with their own swords, the two skip and jump as they both play offense and defense. Rex is surprised to know that a summoner like Alto can keep up with his speed. Alto laughs this off, telling him it's a pretty close call. Rex can't seem to get through Alto's superb swordsmanship. At this distance, a normal summoner would be finished instantly. But here's Alto proving that he's not like most summoners. The two are quite at par when it comes to swordsmanship. They both know how to play their defenses as well as their attacks. In Rex's mind, he has realized he can't overpower Alto in close combat, but if he lets his guard down for even a moment, he also knows he'll be done for. As Rex dodges one of Alto's attacks, he sweats. He thinks this is all cheating. A summoner who can handle close combat, it's like having a death wish. Not long, Alto summons a black-style second sword, Shadow Slash. Now Rex is in it for a treat. Planting the sword on the ground, the sword lights up as the King's Key unlocks. Rex, on the other hand, has jumped towards Alto, seemingly stopping the summoner from completing his summoning. However, Alto has already anticipated the attack and immediately blocks it with his other sword, reminding Rex not to be reckless. Smiling, Rex tells his friend he won't let him use his finishing move so easily at that. Before Alto could finish his summoning, Rex attacks him with his sword. So Alto has no choice but to stop and dodge Rex's attack. This seems to be a nice warm-up for Rex as he's now using Heavenly Dragon Possession, Dragon King Baltra. Rex then screams to the top of his lungs as the dragon roars in manifestation. Alto watches in awe of Rex now powered up with the Dragon King's power. The summoner is proud to see that Rex can now summon Baltra too. Rex is proud of this feat despite the 3-minute limit he has on using it. When Alto tells him it's bad to reveal his tricks to his opponent, Rex doesn't really mind. He can't keep all his cards hidden while Alto shows his, right? Smiling, Alto realizes how Rex's earnest side of him hasn't really changed since their old days. After taking that as a compliment, Rex proceeds with attacking. He doesn't really have much time left, so he raises his sword at Alto, who's surprised with how incredibly fast Rex has become. As Rex uses Dragon Technique, Heavenly Limit Slash, Alto uses Armed Summoning, Shield of Cherubim. However, Rex's attack proves to be superior and his shield begins to crack. Soon enough, Alto watches his shield break into pieces, praising Rex's Dragon King's strike. Then Rex points his sword towards Alto, using Dragon Technique, Nation-Breaking Spear. A shadow of swords then attack Alto, who's now bracing himself for balance. After that attack, Alto gets an injury, shocking the girls since this is the first time. Rex isn't done yet though and is running towards Alto now. Before he could reach Alto, the summoner uses simple X multiplication summoning Slime, and as one slime appears, it multiplies until there's a horde of it heading towards Rex. They all attack Rex, multiplying itself one after another. This is going according to Alto's plan, who's using this opening to increase the distance between him and Rex. Despite that, Rex still manages to destroy the Smiles using Dragon Technique, Crimson Lotus Flash. Alto is quite surprised, especially when Rex is now closing in for an attack. Rex saw through Alto's plan of using multiplication summoning as a diversion and hiding behind obstructions. He's studied Alto's behavior patterns to death, it seems. As Rex yells for his victory, he summons Secret Dragon Technique, Dragon King Slash as his finishing move. W3 hat he doesn't know is that Alto had expected Rex to read all his moves, and with that, Alto summons Eye Technique, Infinite Binding Chains. Rex is taken aback, realizing Alto has used Void Crow's magical eye. He didn't know Alto had used partial summoning during the fight. Before he could react to anything, Rex has been knocked to the ground with a loud thud, rendering him unconscious in the process. The two girls watch as Rex is now incapacitated. Therefore, the winner is Alto. That whole battle has Alto tired. Not long, Rex wakes up and the four friends journey back home. Now it's 0 wins and 187 losses for Rex, who knows Alto is ridiculously strong. Stella compliments the summoner for defeating Rex like that, as she's expected of Alto. Lucy then asks if that battle was really his first battle in a year. Rex couldn't believe it since it seems like Alto has gotten even faster. Alto then reveals he's been doing the minimum training at the very least. After that, they all continue walking. Stella then thanks him for walking her home. Rex congratulates Alto as their fellow adventurers now and wants to meet again somewhere. As they bid Alto goodbye, the summoner is left alone and decides to go home as well. With that, he flicks his fingers to summons a wyvern. After summoning the monster, Alto gives it a gentle pat and asks it for a ride home. The wyvern readily agrees, and up on its back Alto went. Soon they fly into the night sky as they head home. The next day, Alto is at the park looking left and right. Stella then calls for him, waving hello and apologizes for making him wait a bit. She then tells him they'll head to the guild headquarters now. Smiling, Alto agrees. This is his new beginning. They're headed to guild headquarters, the pinnacle for adventurers. While walking, Stella suddenly asks Alto on how she looks. She blushes as she waits for an answer from a very confused Alto. When Alto finally gives her an answer, it's one that has her utterly speechless. Alto had taken the question quite literally and tells Stella she looks slender yet toned muscles. She has a posture that doesn't reveal her center of gravity to opponents, and above all a refined yet powerful magical aura. Alto is very proud of his answer too. He expects no less of Stella, who he believes has gotten stronger than in the past. Stella's disappointment has her uttering a curt thanks, making Alto wonder if he had said something weird. Sighing, Stella calls him dense, which further confuses the boy. Never mind that then. They'll just focus on heading to the guild headquarters for now. Speaking of, Alto remembers what Stella had mentioned during his birthday party, and asks why the girl is working as an unaffiliated solo adventurer. Stella doesn't really pay no mind to the question and casually answers it by saying it's because of Alto. This confuses Alto, and that's when Stella realizes her mistake. Embarrassed, Stella frantically takes back what she had said. That was a close one indeed. Stella's reason for being a solo adventurer is because she wants to be the one to welcome Alto someday without making him feel left out. She's been staying single all this time because of him. Single both in love and career. Yup, Stella knows she's too intense. Upon arriving at the guild headquarters, Alto looks at it in pure awe. It's big, especially because it's the main hub for adventurers. Noticing the sign on the door, Stella's mouth drops. She had forgotten that the Grand Assembly was today. When Alto asks what that meant, Stella explains it to him. The guild headquarters holds a meeting once every 6 months. They report on dungeon exploration progress to major sponsors. That's the Grand Assembly. The people who gather for this meeting are extremely influential, like great nobles and wealthy merchants. If one catches their attention, it'll be a huge hassle. That's why Stella warned Alto to make absolutely sure not to cause any trouble. A sweating Alto readily agrees. Opening the doors, both Stella and Alto see that the guild is buzzing with adventurers. Looking at this, Alto didn't expect seeing a pretty normal scene for a Grand Assembly. Stella then explains that the troublesome ones are probably all upstairs doing their thing by now. Stella sees this as their chance and tells Alto they'll finish the exam registration quickly. But before they could even go up to the reception, a male adventurer calls Stella's attention, calling her his beloved. The man actually seems familiar to Alto. Meanwhile, Stella is now facepalming herself, seeing that it's Pavel bothering her again. Upon hearing the name, Alto realizes this man is Pavel Romakot. He's a rising B-rank adventurer boasting an incredible amount of magical power. With Pavel's close proximity, Alto has taken a whiff of the strong smell coming from him and immediately covers his nose. It's the middle of the day, but Pavel's been drinking quite a bit. Pavel doesn't seem to see Stella's already annoyed face and continues telling her to quit the lonely solo life and join his party. Although their boss might be a bit scary, it's still a fun place. Stella quickly dismisses him, reminding Pavel she has already turned him down 10 times now. Stella then utters the same response as she's said many times. She already has a partner she has decided in her heart. And since they're already having this conversation, Stella will gladly introduce him to Pavel. Gesturing her hands towards Alto, Stella introduces him as her new companion. With that, Stella asks to stop asking her to join Pavel's party. This breaks Pavel's heart, who's in disbelief with the news. Pavel calls himself a super genius adventurer who's invited Stella so many times. After all his asking, he can't believe Stella would just team up with a weakling who doesn't have a shred of spirit and barely any magical power. Now Pavel's calling Stella crazy. Scratching the back of his head, Alto awkwardly laughs, like he isn't even bothered with the insults thrown at him. Instead, it's Stella that's raging in anger right now. 'Cause how dare this Pavel call her Alto a weakling? Stella steps up to scold Pavel, telling him how Alto's kind, so he always limits his magical power to avoid causing trouble for others. Suddenly, another voice chimes in, asking Pavel what's this commotion about. A bald older dude scolds Pavel for his behavior. He had explicitly warned Pavel to strictly refrain from unnecessary disputes since today is the Grand Assembly. Alto quickly recognizes the man as Dwight Dumbbell. Before Alto could even say hello, Pavel already has his arm around Alto's shoulder. Pavel then drunkenly calls Alto an unimpressive little brat who's going to form a party with his cute Stella-chan. He then calls this news ridiculous as he sees them an unfitting match with each other. Sighing, Dwight tries to keep his temper at bay and immediately apologizes to Alto for the trouble his party member has caused. As he tells Alto he's going to scold Pavel severely later, Dwight quickly notices something and activates his magic puppet human technique, Sacrifice. This spell has transported Pavel next to Dwight now. Both Stella and Alto are shocked and look at the space beside Alto. Pavel was just there next to the summoner. Alto then notices the puppet on the ground next to him and realizes this is a technique that swaps the coordinates of two pre-marked individuals. Pavel is now protesting heavily at Dwight. The drunk adventurer is frustrated that Dwight wasted the substitute doll in a place like this. Apparently, it took Pavel months to finish making. Dwight doesn't reply back to Pavel. Instead, he bows down to Alto to apologize for Pavel's disrespectful behavior. Dwight then describes Pavel as a talented adventurer yet a half-baked man, so Dwight asks forgiveness for his sake. Whilst bowing, Dwight commands Pavel to apologize to Alto as well. However, the drunk adventurer doesn't want to. Why should he do so? This doesn't make any sense to Pavel at all. Glaring at Pavel, Dwight commands him to apologize this instant. Seeing Dwight's scary face, Pavel ultimately gives in and apologizes for going a bit too far with his behavior. Alto, on the other hand, only tells him not to worry about it at all. With that, both Pavel and Dwight take their leave. Alto is still confused with what just happened, but he has no time to process it all because Stella tells him they'll go to the reception now. In Stella's mind, she already expected much of Dwight. However, it's not the same for Alto. Judging by Dwight's reaction, Alto realizes he might have saw it, the terrifying magical power sleeping within the summoner. Anyways, Alto then finishes his registration. Once done, the receptionist informs him that she has received his application for the adventurer registration exam, and reminds Alto not to forget to bring his exam ticket on the day of the test. Both Alto and Stella are now smiling, excited for the day to come. Suddenly, Alto sees that the Grand Assembly has ended, and all the attendees are now descending the staircase. Alto then asks Stella if those people are the sponsors she was talking about earlier. A frantic Stella is now having a dilemma. This is not good for them, especially that these people are sponsors of the Adventurers Guild. Whispering, Stella instructs Alto not to make eye contact with any of them, no matter what. They never know what kind of trouble these people might cause, so it'll be good to take caution. On the other hand, one of those sponsors notices Alto and calls for him to turn around. Confused, Alto turns to see who's calling him and sees it's Sir Abula. The nobleman himself is happy to see Alto here, though it's quite rare to see Alto at the headquarters, but then he thinks that the summoner might have been reassigned here. Sir Abula's conversation with Alto has now caught the attention of the other nobles too. Miss Shalty chimes in, praising Alto for rising from a C-rank guild to working at the headquarters. Another noble, Sir Baroque, also joins in and wants to celebrate Alto's promotion. He wants to throw a grand party at his place in Alto's honor. Sir Abula agrees with the idea and wants his household to participate as well. Miss Shalty also wants in on this. While this is all going on, Stella is deeply confused with what's happening. She quickly whispers to ask Alto why he knows this lot. Smiling, Alto then explains how these three were very kind to him when he used to work at Nobleman's Garden. They're all nice people, apparently. Stella lets out an awkward smile. Really nice people can't be the description for these people. Abula Urold is the dark oil baron, Shalty Drite is the bloody noblewoman, and lastly, Baroque Lemeron is the ruthless merchant tycoon. All these people are big shots from the underworld that even kids are afraid of. Stella does understand, though. There's no way that Alto could have worked normally for a year without standing out. When Sir Abula tells Alto of the party and asks to set a date for it, Alto scratches the back of his head. He doesn't know how to explain his situation to them. Laughing, Sir Abula asks Alto not to be shy since they owe him a debt they can never repay. Rehashing the past, Sir Abula shares how it was all thanks to Alto lending him the army of the lower flame hell that he was able to strike oil in that dangerous Venatora oil field. Miss Shanti also praises Alto for the miraculous grand summoning that saved her beloved son from an incurable disease. Thanks would not be enough for Alto's kindness. And of course, Sir Baroque also has his fair story to tell. Alto summoned beasts that have saved their lives many times. So, celebrating his promotion is his household's top priority. While these three nobles are busy chatting, Alto then asks a moment to speak. He appreciates their praise and generosity, but that's not the case right now. Alto then tells them the truth, shocking the nobles upon learning that Alto got fired. Awkward, Alto is confused with the noble's reaction and asks if he had said something strange. Sir Abula expressed his disbelief with this news and asks Alto what had happened. Alto, scratching his head, says he can't really go into detail, but it seems he's somehow fallen out of favor with the guildmaster. This shocks Sir Abula, who never knew there was someone who'd do such thing to Alto. Miss Shanti now looks disgruntled as she thinks of the scruffy potato of a man. She can't even remember his name that much. Des, Pancho, or something like that. Sir Baroque details out how the guildmaster is actually a viscount who ruled over some third or fourth-rate area in the Armies district. He never knew a mere viscount has become so important as becoming guildmaster. Then all of a sudden, Sir Abula informs Alto they just remembered they have some business they need to attend to and they'll be taking leave right now. After they leave, Stella already knows where those nobles are going. Alto's previous workplace? The Nobleman's Garden? It's time to say sayonara to that place. Meanwhile, all the three nobles are sporting the same look on their faces, a look one would scare even the smallest of animals. They're all headed to Nobleman's Garden Guild too. At the said guild, Desmond is laughing his bum off as he drinks wine. To him, the taste of wine sipped during work hours is an irresistible flavor of sin. Then he remembers the pathetic look on Alto's face when he fired the boy. No matter how many times he thinks about it, it still makes Desmond laugh. Having kicked out Alto, who he calls a filthy peasant, Desmond believes Nobleman's Garden has regained its former glory, and in 6 months they'll achieve their long-awaited promotion to B rank. Desmond laughs maniacally as he thinks of the future of the Taylor family, believing it to be brighter than ever. Soon, Baron Haig comes barging room and tells Desmond that something terrible has happened. Still out of breath, Baron Haig tries regaining his composure. Desmond, relaxed as ever, reminds the Baron that a nobleman must always maintain elegance no matter the situation. With a terrified look, Brano Haig divulges that Lord Abula, Lady Shanti, and Lord Baroque have arrived in their guild and are demanding to terminate their adventurer contracts with the Nobleman's Garden. This shocks Desmond, confused why these nobles would withdraw their contracts with the guild. Furthermore, the guild's relationship with those individuals was supposed to be excellent. They even just extended their contracts recently. Baron Haig is also in the dark with what's happening, but he did sense an extraordinary anger coming from the nobles. With that, he urges Desmond to go to the reception room immediately. Desmond soon arrives at the room facing all three nobles are looking rather unpleased with the guildmaster. Desmond tries to break the awkward silence by complimenting the fine day they're having today. However, he is only met with animosity. Surabula then speaks, asking Desmond if it's true that he had fired an employee named Alto Reise. Thinking the noble is on his side, Desmond quickly confirms this, and even shares how that filthy peasant was a nuisance that damaged the dignity of the guild. Desmond then shares how Alto was fired yesterday, and because of that, they're supposedly enjoying clean air now. Desmond's fit of laughter is then met with anger from Surabula, who calls the guildmaster an incompetent fool. Before Desmond knows it, Surabula is now up on his feet as he angrily calls the guildmaster an utter imbecile who knows nothing but to be a true incompetent being. Pointing at Desmond, Surabula furiously asks if the guildmaster ever considered with that small brain if how precious Alto's summoning magic is. This puts Desmond in a tight spot since he also reveals he doesn't know much when it comes to magic. Suddenly, Lady Shanti stands up to express her own anger at the guildmaster. Her dear son was looking forward to the Introduction to Summoning Magic course that Alto was going to teach. When she asks what Desmond plans to do about it, the guildmaster frantically apologizes and suggests he'll arrange for a more skilled summoner right away. This makes Lady Shanti more furious as she belts out, "No one can be a better summoner than Alto." Smiling, Lord Baroque asks the two nobles to calm down a bit and wants to hear Desmond's side of the story. As the two quiet down, Lord Baroque tells them how there might have been a valid reason to dismiss Alto, though it's very hard to imagine. Maybe Alto wasn't working seriously behind the scenes, or maybe he made some big mistake. Thinking about it, Desmond reveals it's quite the contrary. He then tells them how Alto was more diligent than anyone else and there weren't any particular mistakes. When they press him about why he fired the summoner, Desmond plasters a smile on his face as he reveals it's because Alto Reise was born a peasant. He said it like the egoistic man that he is. All the three nobles are now shaking in anger. Surabula then calls this a completely wrongful dismissal. Even Lady Shanti asks Desmond on how long will he cling to the aristocratic system when one's birth is not a significant issue at all. Lady Shanti then pointedly tells Desmond how, in their perspective, the guildmaster is nothing but a flimsy, third-rate viscount. Hearing this has Desmond hurt, but he can't do anything about it, especially seeing the nobles' angry faces. Lord Abula then commands the guildmaster to listen to what they're going to say. They want Desmond to apologize sincerely to Alto and obtain his forgiveness, or else they will never use Nobleman's Garden ever again. This alarms Desmond, of course, begging for the nobles to reconsider. Before they leave, Lord Baroque turns around to say the guild has no value without Alto in it. Desmond has to apologize to Alto, then maybe they'll talk after. Desmond then arrives home in despair. As he hands his briefcase to the maid, he instructs her not to let anyone into his bedroom. He's going to lie down for a bit since he's been tired from today's events. In his room, Desmond immediately plops himself on the bed. There he lets out all his frustration with this sudden turn of events. He blames Alto, that lowly peasant-born scum, for using dirty tricks to deceive the lords and lady. All of a sudden, the telephone starts ringing. Because of his frustration, Desmond throws a pillow at it, knocking the phone from its place. In despair, Desmond thinks to where he went wrong and why this happened to him. His outburst is cut short when his maid informs him of the urgent message he has from Lord Reagan. This catches Desmond's attention. Although he doesn't really have the energy for anything right now, Desmond chooses to answer the call. As soon as he speaks, Desmond is greeted with some yelling from Lord Reagan, who's asking what the guildmaster has done. Apparently, Lord Reagan just received word from the upper echelons of the Adventurers Guild. The plan to promote Nobleman's Garden to B-rank guild has just been called off. Desmond's eyes widen in shock. He then thinks it's all Alto's doing again, even calling him a sewer rat. Desmond then utters how he had taken care of Alto for a whole year, but he repays kindness with malice. Just which part were you ever kind, Desmond? Lord Reagan then repeats Alto's name as it sounds very familiar. Desmond then shares the summoner is the peasant-born scum they kept. Now Lord Reagan remembers. He also remembers seeing Alto at the guild headquarters today applying for the adventurer registration exam. Upon hearing this, Desmond urges Lord Reagan to stop that from happening as Alto is the embodiment of evil and must not be allowed to become an adventurer. Desmond then tries to flip the narrative and tells Lord Reagan that Alto is a genius at sucking up to the powerful and worming his way into their favor. If a parasite like him becomes an adventurer, the guild will be eaten away from the inside, and they won't be able to focus on dungeon conquest. Absorbing all this information, Lord Reagan seems to believe Desmond's words and plans on assigning an examiner under his influence to make sure Alto fails his exam. After the call ends, Desmond smirks before laughing sadistically. He believes luck is on his side again, saying, "Curse others and you dig 2 graves." Desmond vows to make Alto regret spitting on him for the rest of his life. The day of the adventurer soon arrives. Alto goes to the guild headquarters in the royal capital to enter the venue. Stella goes with Alto, winking at him as she tells him they're just close friends, so there's no malice in her going with him. But in Stella's mind, this already feels like a date outing for the two of them, making Stella feel all giddy. She then assures Alto he'll definitely be fine and to do his best. Alto gives her a warm smile as he thanks her. With the exam ticket in his hand, Alto enters the exam room and is immediately greeted with the sight of strong-looking people. The examiner then asks if everyone is present and announces that the adventurer exam will now begin. Before anything else, the examiner asks for examinee number 175 Alto Reise. Upon hearing his name, Alto immediately raises his hand. He's now being told to take the exam in a separate room and is asked to move to the underground training area. Alto then proceeds to walk there, wondering why it's only him. Once he arrives at the exam area, he finds a man wearing sunglasses in the middle of the room. He introduces himself as Hemros Luxus, the court summoner. Hemros will be in charge of Alto's exam today. Showing respect, Alto bows down to greet the proctor. Hemros's eyes squint as he takes in Alto's whole appearance. Lord Reagan had told him this boy is a dangerous element, but he can tell just by looking at Alto that this boy's no good. As in, he has absolutely no talent as a summoner. With such weak magical power, Alto will hardly pass even just the regular exam. He now believes he made a completely pointless trip going here. Hemros then tells the summoner they'll start the exam right away. In this exam, Hemros will be looking at the quality and quantity of Alto's summoned beasts. If Alto can meet Hemros's standards, he'll pass the exam right here. This surprises Alto, of course. Crossing his arms, Hemros promises, saying he's a man of his word. With that, Hemros tells Alto they'll start the test for quantity. Here, they'll test how many Alto can summon simultaneously. Hemros then instructs him to summon low-level beasts that consume little magical power and apply a multiplication formula. Then, Alto needs to increase the number of summoned beasts as long as his magical power lasts. After Hemros gives the go signal, Alto summons one slime, then this slime doubles and triples until 100 are now occupying the room. Hemros is already amazed that Alto surpassed 100. However, he's utterly shocked to see that Alto has now summoned 1,000, then 10,000. Not long, Hemros is screaming as the room is about to be filled with summoned slime. He frantically asks Alto to stop as Hemros is now drowning in slime. With one flick of his fingers, all of the slime disappears. Hemros tries to recover his shortness of breath from the suffocation. Hemros can't believe that number and speed of multiplication. He really thought he was going to get crushed to death by slime. Well, that would be a funny scene. A worried Alto asks if the proctor is okay, to which Hemros says he is. He's then curious if Alto hadn't released the multiplication magic. How many more slimes could he have made to maximum? Alto thinks about it for a bit before casually revealing it would have been beyond trillion or quadrillion. Or no, quintillion would be no problem at all as well. Hemros sweats as he awkwardly smiles. In his mind, he can't believe Alto can make quintillion when that's such a ridiculous multiplication summoning. However, he did see it with his own two eyes, and more than anything, Alto doesn't seem to be lying. Now Hemros is curious as to who Alto really is. Hemros's thoughts are then snapped back to reality when Alto asks him on how he did on the quantity test. Hemros coughs up a bit before saying it wasn't bad at all. He then shares that he could summon much more when he was Alto's age. Then again, he passed the minimum requirement. Give it to Hemros to downplay what he had just witnessed. After Alto thanks the proctor for the passing mark, Hemros then announces they'll move on to the quality test. Hemros now knows Alto Reise is far more capable than what he just heard. His magical power is still weak, but his skill is exceptional. He's undoubtedly a mage skilled in techniques. Question now is, what should Hemros do so Alto will fail? The answer is simple. Hemros will have him summon powerful beasts that consume a lot of magical power. That way, he'll easily show his weakness. With that, Hemros tells Alto that a summoner must be able to control a wide variety of summoned beasts. For example, a wyvern, a powerful summoned beast that soars through the sky. Alto flicks his fingers and 3 wyverns come swooping in, startling Hemros in the process. The proctor quickly changes the scenario to one that the enemy might be underwater. In such cases, a high-ranking water spirit should be summoned. Alto flicks his fingers again and casually summons Undine. Hemros's reaction gets baffled every time Alto summons a new beast. The proctor then diverts the situation, saying dungeons often have scorching lava areas. To traverse rough terrain, a sturdy rock cave doll. Apologizing for bothering his golem, Alto flicks his fingers again to summon the raging beast. Now Hemros is terrified. Alto had managed to summon the guardian of the skies, Wyvern, one of the 4 great spirits, Undine, and the high magical power-consuming golem, and Alto did all without incantations. When Alto asks how he did, Hemros once again tells him it's not bad. And since he cleared the quality and quantity tests, that means Alto waits in anticipation. His eyes sparkle as he waits for Hemros to say he's now a full-fledged adventurer. But then, his excitement disappears as soon as Hemros tells him it's now time for the final test. Alto is now confused. Why would there be a final test? Hemros then explains that if Alto wants to become an adventurer, he must defeat the great court summoner, Hemros Luxus. Dismayed, Alto asks whatever happened to passing if he cleared both the quality and quantity tests, to which Hemros denies knowing anything of that. Even when Alto reminds him of being a man of my words, Hemros still denies knowing anything of that either. Sighing, Alto says he understands and agrees to the final test. Hemros is already frustrated, but he had to admit it. Alto Reise is a summoner with innate talent. His proficiency in summoning magic slightly surpassed his. However, he believes he still has the upper hand. Hemros then gets something from his inner suit and voila! He has this secret treasure bestowed upon him by Lord Reagan. Seeing this, Alto realizes it's a magic sealing crystal. Hemros immediately lifts the crystal into the air and tells him how he will now weave supreme summoning magic. And with his command, Hemros tells Alto to prepare himself for the ultimate summoned beasts. An armored knight soon manifests in front of Alto, who's staring at it in bewilderment. Bursting out in laughter, Hemros mocks the young boy for being surprised. He then introduces the knight as Roctus, the loyal retainer of Org, the flame demon who rules the lower flame hell. Roctus is the legendary great swordsman who defeated the great angel Michaelis. What Hemros doesn't know is that he's the one who's going to get the surprise of his life. When Alto casually summons Org, Hemros's eyes grow like saucers. As Org stands proud, Hemros's Roctus is now bowing down to its god. Roctus then speaks, telling Org how overjoyed he is to meet his lord in this mortal realm. Smiling wickedly, Org agrees that this is quite a rare occurrence and proposes to have a duel. However, Roctus believes it as a joke. How can he possibly raise his blade against his lord Org? Hemros watches in both silence and confusion. Suddenly, Roctus's dark eyes meet Hemros and calls him a nameless summoner. Roctus then apologizes, but he has to cancel Hemros's summoning. With that, Roctus disappears to return to the flame hell. Not even Hemros could stop him from leaving. Meanwhile, Alto scratches his head, not knowing what they'll do with the final test now. Shaking, Hemros has no choice now. He sends Lord Reagan a mental apology before he composes himself. As a court summoner, even he can't stop Alto Reise. So there's only one decision left to be made right now, and that is to pass the young boy. This news elates Alto very much. He soon exits the room to find Stella, who's been waiting for him. When he gives her a smile and a thumbs up, Stella jumps right into Alto's arms. Meanwhile, the news of Alto passing the exam has reached Desmond's residences. He is stunned to see the young boy's face plastered across the newspaper. Not only that, but it also says that the young boy is highly praised by the court summoner, Hemros Luxus. Desmond is now shaking in anger, blaming Lord Reagan for messing up. Then he screams how he'll never forgive this and vows to make Alto Reise suffer soon. The day after passing the adventurer exam, Alto is cleaning the backyard. He just finished sweeping the leaves in a pile when he hears his name being called. His mom then informs him that a letter had arrived for him, and it's now on his desk. He immediately goes inside to his room and picks up the letter from the desk. He wonders who it's from. As soon as he flips to see the sender, Alto never expected to read Desmond Taylor's name on it. The previous morning at Desmond's mansion, the guildmaster had woken up on the wrong side of the bed. Sighing, he's starting the morning awfully wrong. Not only did Alto pass the exam, but Lord Reagan has gone radio silent on him. As he sits on his study sipping coffee, his maid brings him his morning paper. He wonders if there's any interesting news right now. Flipping it open, Desmond's eyes widen in surprise. Lord Reagan had been arrested, it says. Desmond's mouth is now agape, in disbelief with what he's reading. As he reads on, he finds out that Lord Reagan had been arrested because of illegal monetary transactions discovered from some guilds. The guild audit department has begun investigating the truth and pursuing additional criminals at that. Desmond is now sweating in fear, knowing this is really bad news for him. The Nobleman's Garden has been paying Lord Reagan under the table to promote them to C-rank guild. At this rate, Desmond knows he'll eventually be questioned as well. He despairingly holds his forehead, like he's getting a migraine from all the bad things happening all at once. There's only one reason why he's suffering like this, and that's in the existence of Alto Reise, the very root of all of this. Desmond has gone mad, believing Alto has been pulling the strings behind the scenes on Lord Reagan's arrest too. He can't believe a commoner like him has so much power. Desmond now knows he has to act quick. At this rate, Nobleman's Garden and the Taylor family will be ruined. Desmond needs something, some kind of plan. The guildmaster then remembers Lord Baroque's words from days ago. There's no value in his guild without Alto, so Desmond needs to apologize to the young boy before they'll negotiate with him. This sends Desmond into a fit of rage. For him, a noble of high lineage, a chosen aristocrat, to bow his head to a lowly peasant? Desmond screams all his frustration while tearing up the newspaper. Well, let's hope he's really sincere with his apology. Meanwhile, Alto is currently reading Desmond's letter. It says he has an important matter to discuss. Reading it, Alto is dumbfounded that the man can write him something like this after treating him so horribly. Then again, Alto remembers being so frustrated that he left without taking his belongings. He hadn't even returned the guild uniform yet. Believing he has no choice, Alto decides to go and see what Desmond wants. As soon as he arrives at the guild, Alto sighs as he really feels uncomfortable with this whole situation. He's already here though, so he'll just have to take care of business and leave quickly. Upon entering the guild, Alto is greeted by an overly enthusiastic Desmond who welcomes him back with open arms. This shocks Alto, rather terrifies him. What in the world happened to the Desmond he knows? Desmond happily nudges Alto's shoulders, saying he's glad to see the young boy doing well. He then asks Alto to come in and take a seat in his office. Inside, Desmond presents him with a plate of dessert. Desmond says it's a strawberry daifuku from Kyofukute. The guildmaster says it would be rude not to offer some refreshments when Alto came all this way to meet him. Desmond's excitement is just met with silence. When the guildmaster asks what's wrong and urges Alto to eat up, the young boy remembers and reminds Desmond that this kind of sweet was something he said Alto isn't allowed to eat. Desmond stands still, shock written all over his face. During the new employee welcome party a year ago, Alto was seated on the table and was about to pick one of the sweets to eat. Unexpectedly, Desmond went up to get the plate of desserts from Alto's table and asks who had served such high-quality tea and sweets to the filthy peasant. Desmond had called this a waste and that wild grass should be good enough for Alto to eat. He had mocked and bullied Alto whilst enjoying his own glass of wine. Alto had sat there in silence, taking in all the insults thrown his way. Back in the current time, Desmond sweats as he doesn't know what to say. Alto quickly stands up and announces he'll be taking his leave. The young boy didn't come here today to talk with Desmond. As he walks towards the door, Desmond frantically calls for Alto to wait. The young boy stops to turn and ask what the guildmaster wants. Desmond desperately wants Alto to wait and listen for a moment. But all Alto could remember is all those times this old man had humiliated, mocked, and laughed at him. So he quickly turns around again to leave. However, his eyes widen when he hears Desmond apologizing to him. When Alto turns around to look at Desmond, he's shocked to see the old man on the floor with his head bowed down as he begs for forgiveness. Alto then asks what Desmond's doing, to which the guildmaster asks and pleads the young boy to work at Nobleman's Garden again. He knows it's shameful, but ever since Alto had left, the guild's management has fallen apart. Now, he begs for Alto to lend them his strength. Although Alto appreciates the sentiment, he has already decided to live as an adventurer, so he will absolutely not return to this guild. Desmond's once hopeful eyes turn into despair. He then desperately asks if Alto can lend them Summoned Beast Rental, and Summoning Magic Lectures to them at least. However, Alto is resolute in declining Desmond. Despite Alto saying no, Desmond still tries to convince the young boy, saying it's not like summoned beasts diminish and the lecturers are just once a week. Alto then explains, knowing full well the guildmaster has no idea at all, that it takes quite a bit of magical power to keep summoned beasts in this world. Adventurers are always on the brink of death, so they always want to maintain their best condition as much as possible. It's not uncommon to be away from home for weeks once they enter a dungeon, plus it's impossible to hold weekly lectures. With pleading eyes, Desmond grovels towards Alto to ask to put in a good word with them for the sake of the guild. Hearing this, Alto is confused with who this them Desmond is talking about. The young boy then asks what Desmond is talking about as he's noticed the guildmaster has been acting strange today. Desmond is now shaking as he holds onto Alto. Then he snaps out of his gentleman drama and sadistically calls Alto a damn brat. He angrily points his finger at Alto, saying the young boy must be feeling good about himself after he incited Surabula and the others to ruin the life of a boss he didn't like. Desmond also insinuates how Alto is feeling on top of the world with how he did the guild wrong. Still, Alto is confused since he really doesn't know a thing and tells Desmond he might be misunderstanding something. He starts explaining how he didn't incited Surabula and the others, but Desmond is not having it, and calls Alto a con artist. Desmond then runs to his cabinet drawers to get something. Alto is stunned to see Desmond holding a sharp blade now. He then asks the guildmaster if he's seriously going to fight him when he knows Alto's a D-rank adventurer now. However, Desmond mocks him for pretending to be an adventurer when D-rank is just barely above an amateur level. Before this fight can even happen, they both hear the door open. It's Baron Haig taking a peek at what's happening. Before he could even saying anything, Desmond shouts at him to shoo away and reminds him not to enter without permission. However, a group of people enter the room and surround Desmond. Confused, Desmond asks who they are. They don't answer him. Instead, he asks if he's the guildmaster of Nobleman's Garden, Desmond Taylor. A woman with long hair then steps forward to introduce herself as Ramiros Creditor from the Adventurers Guild Audit Department. The word Audit Department has Desmond trembling as he knows what this meant. Ramiros then tells him they have confirmed suspicious transfers from his guild, so she wants to discuss this matter in detail. But before that, Ramiros asks why Desmond is holding a knife. Desmond had just remembered the knife in his hand. Stuttering as he struggles to find a good explanation for the knife, he makes the excuse that it's for practice for a play since they're planning to put on a show for a guild event soon. The guildmaster then asks how his acting was and that he's quite confident in his acting skills. Ramiros sighs before ordering her men to take Desmond away. The guildmaster even has the audacity to resist, saying this is all a misunderstanding. Desmond then makes a desperate plea, accusing of being set up by the filthy peasant. He then turns to Alto and curses him with all his might. Alto looks at the retreating men with confusion. Before Ramiros leaves, she tells Alto he has a rare magical power and seems quite strong. Ramiros smiles as she offers Alto a spot in the audit department since they've been short-handed lately. Alto gives her a shy smile before declining her offer. He's an adventurer now. Walking away, Ramiros calls it a shame. If Alto ever changes his mind, she asks him to come to the audit department anytime. With that, Alto also leaves Nobleman's Garden. Forever. Later on, Desmond Taylor was arrested for multiple crimes including bribery, embezzlement, and intimidation, and was stripped of his Viscount title. The C-rank guild, Nobleman's Garden, was then dissolved and disbanded. Meanwhile, somewhere in an office, an old man wearing a robe muttered to himself how it's about time for Alto's adventurer card to arrive. He then believes it's just the beginning, but a new start as an adventurer means he can gift Alto something. The old man then remembers he does have the perfect thing to gift Alto. One morning, Alto holds in his hands his adventurer's ID card. He's still in his bed, holding the ID card up in the air. Alto's eyes sparkle as he stares at his ID card, the very proof that his dream is now starting to unravel. Plus, it looks so cool too. When he gets up, his mom greets him good morning. The old man earlier, now seated in the dining table, also greets him good morning, to which Alto casually greets back. Alto soon realizes what just happened and turns to see the old again, shocked to see the Adventurers Academy principal Elm Trigalus in their house. The principal coolly sips his drink before telling him why. Principal Elm had heard he has formed a party with Stella. Alto then remembers how well informed their principal is. After that, Principal Elm hands Alto a piece of paper. He had arranged for both Alto and Stella to join in a small expedition happening tomorrow. He also says it's his congratulatory gift for Alto passing the exam. Although Alto is happy with the surprise, he's also a bit shy with the gift. But then Principal Elm doesn't mind Alto's reaction and further explains the details. A kickoff meeting is scheduled at the A-Rank Adventurer Guild Silver Prison at noon today, so he urges Alto to show up there. After wishing him the best of luck, Principal Elm then disappears into thin air, leaving Alto screaming and frantic. Walking towards Silver Prison Guild, Alto gives Stella the 411 with what had happened. Stella sighs, knowing their principal as a reckless sage as ever. Still, there's nothing to be worried about. Stella calls this a good opportunity to participate. Scratching his head, Alto sighs. It's fine for Stella since she's B rank, but he's still D rank and he might feel out of place. Stella then turns to him and scolds him for thinking that. To her, Alto is a summoner who can completely defeat B rank Rex. If he can participate, all the other adventurers will be greatly helped. And furthermore, if they do well on the expedition, his guild evaluation should improve and his chances for promotion will be amazing. However, Alto is worried with this gift. He knows Principal Elm to tend to leave out important details, and he used the word expedition too. There's just something about this that gives Alto a bad feeling. Despite his bad juju, Stella reassures him to have more confidence in himself because she knows how strong Alto is. Grabbing his hand, Stella urges them to rush there. Arriving at the A-Rank Adventurer Guild Silver Prison, both adventurers head straight for the reception where they're greeted. The receptionist already received a heads up for their arrival. The receptionist then informs them that the expedition participants have all gathered in the large underground training area, so both of them should proceed there using the stairs at the back. Descending down the stairs, Alto and Stella are amazed that this guild has a basement, calling it Next Level. Once they arrive there, Alto and Stella are all shocked with what they're seeing or with whom. The expedition participants are all famous adventurers. There's B-rank adventurer Magician Kezarin, and there's B-rank adventurer Tamer Chachi, and wow, A-rank adventurer Knight Herald is even here. Stella now realizes that this expedition is on a much larger scale than they initially thought. They then see a man walking up to the center podium. Alto then watches the man in awe. This is the incredible swordsman who inherited the demon-slaying sword Gura. He's also the leader of the A-rank adventurer party Bright Star, the one and only Reinhard Oleg. Not long, Reinhard calls the attention of all his fellow adventurers and thanks them all for gathering here today. He then informs them that this expedition is an extremely dangerous, life-risking quest. However, if no one undertakes this, humanity's long-cherished wish, dungeon conquest, will never be achieved. Reinhard then thanks everyone for their courage. Meanwhile, Alto thinks about Principal Elm's gift. Even with such a large force gathered, it's still life-threatening. Oh, their principal is in a whole different scale. Reinhard then explains the strategic overview of the 4th dungeon expedition. Before he could start with their tactical objectives, someone shouts to halt his speech. It's Wolfen Barorio, the A-rank adventurer and troublemaker from Bright Star Guild. He then loudly informs everyone that there's an unbelievable loser amongst them. a D-rank adventurer who snuck himself into this expedition. Alto is now looking like a scared cat. He knows exactly who Wolfen is talking about. Everyone starts whispering. There had been a participation requirement for this expedition, and it was B rank and above. Someone then shares how they sometimes get those delusional guys who overestimate their abilities. Reinhard scolds Wolfen as he had already explained to his member regarding this matter. The leader defends the unknown loser because he knows he's special and was recommended by the old master. Wolfen laughs, mocking the ramblings of that old man, even calling him senile. He then pushes Reinhard off the stage and immediately takes his place to call out Alto Reise. On the other hand, Alto doesn't know what to do. When Wolfen urges him to stop hiding and to show himself, Alto sighs as he knows it's better to step forward than to hide. With that, he closes his eyes as he raises a hand. Before he knows it, Wolfen is already in his face, asking if he's really Alto Reise. As Alto mutters a yes, he's also amazed with how fast Wolfen is. A smirk forms on Wolfen's face as he tells Alto a piece of fact. The most troublesome opponent in this world isn't a capable enemy, but an incompetent ally. He then calls Alto a show-off, asking Alto that if he drags them down and their allied party falls apart, how will the summoner take responsibility? Wolfen then grabs Alto by the collar, ready to pounce him. The commotion is interrupted when Dwight steps forward and orders Wolfen to stop it. Giving Wolfen some advice, Dwight warns him to withdraw from this one unless he wants to get killed. Wolfen is baffled to see Dwight siding with a D-rank and laughs as he calls Dwight a once great adventurer, who's now a senile old fool with rotten eyes. With that, Dwight turns around to leave, saying he's already given Wolfen a warning, so it's his decision to do what he pleases with it. Alto, who's now feeling a bit bad, informs Wolfen he's just leave since he thinks he's out of place here. However, Alto bumps into Stella, who's now fuming mad at Wolfen. She is raging as she pointedly tells Wolfen to back off. He's been saying whatever he wants for a while now, but for his information, Alto is way stronger than the likes of him. Wolfen then mockingly calls Stella an ugly girl, warning her no to talk back to him when she's just a B-rank trash. This fuels Stella's anger even more, saying Wolfen is a bit confident with his A-rank status. Wolfen then retaliates, saying there's an absolute difference between A ranks and B ranks, as vast as heaven and earth. Alto remains in the middle of this heated argument, not knowing what to do. After a while of bickering, both Wolfen and Stella are out of breath. Wolfen then calls her pathetic for playing adventurer with a D-rank piece of trash. He then yells at Stella, asking what would her great-grandfather think of her if he knew of Stella's disgraceful act. That hurts Stella, silencing her as she holds back her tears. Wolfen isn't finished yet and continues to remind Stella she's the abandoned child of the Arnold family because she couldn't properly inherit their magic. Before Wolfen could continue his insults, they hear a loud thud. Alto had clapped his hands to get both of their attention, then he nonchalantly asks Wolfen to have a mock battle with him. Wafflin is bewildered with the proposition. To Alto, this would be a great way to settle various things. For example, who's stronger between him and Wolfen? Seeing Alto's confident demeanor has Wolfen seething with anger. Oh, it's on now. Tension rises between Alto and Wolfen. Everyone can feel the weight of it in the air. Annoyed, Wolfen asks the summoner if he's seriously asking to battle the Wolfen, an A-rank adventurer known as Shadow Wolf. Alto smiles, confirming Wolfen's question. While this annoys Wolfen, it has little effect on Alto, who's looking rather casual. Wolfen suddenly starts laughing as he facepalms himself. He bursts out how funny Alto is to him. He never knew a bottom-tier D-rank would pick a fight with an A-rank like him. Is Alto out of his mind? Alto's eyes turn emotionless as he says Wolfen can say whatever he wants about the summoner. However, it's a different story when one insults his dear friend Stella. Alto's eyes are now void of the innocence we all know he has. With that, Wolfen turns to tell someone to move everyone to somewhere spacious for the mock battle. Wolfen had asked Tilt Penna, A-rank adventurer and fellow Bright Star member, for this request. Agreeing to it, Tilt jokingly says he has to pay 300,000 gold coins per use, which further irritates Wolfen, who urges her to hurry up with it. After thanking Wolfen for his business, Tilt gets something from the inside of her robe, revealing a piece of paper with an inscription on it. As she tells them she'll send them flying, she burns the paper with her hands. A confused Alto suddenly gets dizzy like he's being warped or something. Even the surroundings are warping in front of him. Not long, Alto is shocked to see they're already outside. Not just outside, they're all in a vast field. Reinhard is now asking where they all are when they're supposed to be in the large training area. Looking at the surroundings, Alto believes they're in the Omred Plains right now. All the adventurers who were in the large training area have been moved here. A magic that transfers a certain area to a different space. It's quite advanced magic as expected of A-rank adventurer Tilt Pena. Approaching Tilt, Reinhard scolds her for this foolish move, to which she calls fun. Reinhard is about to unsheath his sword when Dwight stops him, telling the Bright Star leader that it's fine. All they have to do now is wish for Wolfen's safety. Then he tells Pavel to watch closely and see what would have happened to him if Dwight hadn't stepped up to help him back then. Pavel, like Reinhard, is confused with Dwight's words. Pavel thinks his leader is just overestimating Alto, who he sees as a brat, and now that he's sober, Pavel can confidently say that Alto Reise doesn't look like much of an adventurer to him. Both Alto and Wolfen get into their respective position. As the wind blows by them, everyone watches in anticipation with what's going to happen. Wolfen then calls Alto's attention to command him to deploy his magic formula. This confuses Alto, so the A-ranker explains it to him. Out of respect for Alto's reckless and foolish bravery, Wolfen will let him take the first shot. However, that attack will be Alto's last. The moment Alto casts his spell, he will fall pathetically without even seeing Wolfen's form. Wolfen also cockily tells Alto that if he's lucky, he'll just end up in the hospital. But at worst, Alto will die here. Not an ounce of fear traverses in Alto's body as he casually says he understands this. Without hesitation, he flicks his fingers to cast his magic. Wolfen stands in silence, waiting for Alto's attack. When he sees nothing happening, he asks the summoner what's wrong, or if Alto is too scared to gather his magic. However, Alto curtly tells him that it's already done. Alto then repeats his words, informing Wolfen it's already finished. Still, Wolfen remains confused as he's not seeing anything happening. It's only when he feels like a shadow has been casted upon him that Wolfen looks up to the sky. Wolfen's eyes widen in surprise and his mouth remain agape as he stares at the humongous air castle descending unto him. Before he could even move, a loud crash is heard and seen by everyone watching nearby. The castle has landed onto Wolfen with a huge thud. Everyone else braces for the impact, even covering themselves from the dust that the castle's descent had made. After the surrounding area clears up, they all see a huge dent on the ground, and at the center of it are piles of rubble from the castle. Alto's eyes are still stoic, waiting for Wolfen to move. Not long enough, a rustling sound is hears coming from the rubble, and lo and behold, Wolfen comes bearing with injuries. Despite being weak from that attack, Wolfen meekly says it's not over yet. Wolfen slowly tries to step forward, but his injuries are too much. Alto had already expected Wolfen to live. He's an A-rank adventurer after all. Alto then makes another move of his fingers. Suddenly, Wolfen grits his teeth and starts coughing up blood. After that, he falls to the ground unconscious. Everyone is now sporting the same look, fearful and terrified. They can't believe the A-ranker Wolfen was taken down with just one hit. One adventurer even says what they saw was way beyond a single hit. Meanwhile, Pavel's overconfidence has now dissipated and he's now shaking in fear as he thanks Dwight for being a lifesaver. In a calm tone, Dwight gets the "I told you so" card, calling Alto a monster. In his mind, he didn't really think it would come to this extent. Even his eyes couldn't see through it. Reinhard then screams for Tilt to use healing magic on Wolfen and to do it quickly. Tilt, on the other hand, is already on it. She's now frantic as she shares how Wolfen had stored up a lot of magic formulas for tomorrow's expedition. Yet now, he's in pretty bad shape. Tilt knows. Even if she uses all her magic power and formulas for treatment, it's not going to be enough. To think the exceptionally tough Wolfen would be on the brink of death just from one blow. The jokes are past gone now as Tilt realizes that summoning magic earlier is seriously dangerous. Silently agreeing, Reinhard says it's not just the ridiculous power Alto has, but also the speed of constructing the spell is pretty fast. Without complex incantations, high-level rituals, or magical tool assistance to complete such a large summoning with just the Earth hand sign is supposed to be impossible. Yet it is possible in the embodiment of Alto Reise. Seeing how everyone is frantic over what had happened to Wolfen, Alto realizes using legendary summoning, Damocles might have been overdoing it, even if he was worked up. Sighing, Alto reflects on how much he needs to work on being level-headed starting now. Stella then interrupts his rain of thoughts to apologize. She knows he did for her sake. But Alto stops her and assures her she didn't do anything wrong, so she shouldn't worry about anything. Alto then looks at everyone else in the area, but as soon as he makes eye contact with them, they all start rustling and look away from him. He's done it. Alto had managed to draw too much attention by using his magical power. Suddenly everything starts warping again, and not long they're back in the large training area again. Now that they're here, Alto wonders if Wolfen's treatment went well. Alto then hears his name being called. It's Reinhard with Tilt behind him. The guild leader asks for a moment to talk to Alto about this great expedition and their main objective, the Great Demon Lord's Relic. All four of them go to the Guildmaster's office of Silver Prison. When Stella asks where the Guildmaster is, Reinhard explains that the Guildmaster of Silver Prison has always been frail. So right now Reinhard is serving as his proxy. Before anything else, Reinhard bows his head and apologizes for the rudeness of their party member Wolfen. This apology isn't just for Alto but for Stella as well. When Tilt casually salutes them to apologize, Reinhard smacks her and scolds her to be more remorseful about what had happened. While Tilt now sports a bump on her head, Alto tells them they should be the ones apologizing since he also lost his temper and went too far. But Reinhard negates this, saying it was entirely Wolfen's fault and that Alto has absolutely no reason to apologize at all. With that settled, Reinhard expresses his admiration with witnessing Alto's summoning magic earlier. Wolfen is, after all, the second strongest member of Silver Prison. To defeat him in one blow is truly impressive. Reinhard also shares how he had already expected much from the prodigy who made the Old Master Elm say, "He's the strongest summoner I've seen in the 100 years of teaching." This makes Alto awkwardly blush, thanking Reinhard for the compliment. Then Reinhard turns into serious mode as he now moves on to the main topic. Reinhard then unravels a map. All 1st to 7th floors have check marks on it while the 8th floor remains dark and auspicious. Reinhard then explains this is a simple map of our expedition destination. So far, the adventurers have conducted 7 expeditions, successfully conquering from the 1st to the 7th floors. Reinhard then points to the 7th floor, sharing the last time they made it there, they had returned here after establishing a base there. The tactical objective, the Great Demon Lord's relic, is now within reach. As Reinhard explains this will be their last expedition, he is cut short when Alto politely interrupts him to ask something. Alto had heard Reinhard mention this earlier in the training area as well. Yes, Reinhard had mentioned the Great Demon Lord's relic. But what exactly does that mean? A confused Alto asks. Also confused, Reinhard asks them if the old master explained it to them. After Alto and Stella exchange confused looks, they both explain why they were here in the first place. There, Reinhard now understands the situation. Reinhard can't believe Old Master Elm called this a little expedition. That's such a typical understatement from the Old Master too. Sighing, Reinhard has no choice but to be the one to explain things to Alto and Stella. Their destination this time is Daras, the demon-suppressing palace. It's one of the 5 cursed places left behind in this world by the Great Demon Lord. A forbidden realm where one of them is said to sleep, an ultra-high difficulty dungeon. That's where they're all going. Hearing this now has Alto and Stella's soul leaving their bodies. That old raccoon dog sure set them up real good. For now, Reinhard wants to explain the upcoming schedule. They'll all gather at the main training area at noon tomorrow. After that, they'll use Tilt's magic to transfer them to the 7th floor of Daras. Then they'll join with the adventurers defending the base and begin conquering the 8th floor. The 8th floor is completely unknown. However, the magical energy there is abnormally dense, so even far-seeing mages couldn't see through it. The 8th floor is highly likely the deepest part of the demon-suppressing palace. The Great Demon Lord's relic should be there. Reinhard then reveals their goal, to retrieve the relic and return it here. With that, Reinhard asks both Alto and Stella to join their team, the first wave composed only of A-rank adventurers. This offer surprises both Alto and Stella. It's Alto who's in disbelief, not knowing how to react to them fighting on the front lines. However, Reinhard believes Alto's extraordinary summoning magic and Stella's swordsmanship, known as the Flame Sword Princess, are both added strengths to solidify the conquest of Daras. When Alto tries to reason out, Reinhard assures them if worst comes to worst, they can both escape using Tilt's transfer magic. With that, Reinhard bows his head once more to ask to lend them their strength for the sake of humanity's peace. As Reinhard lifts his head, Alto can clearly see his straightforward eyes. Not even a hint of lie or malice in them. What's there is only the nobility and pride of an A-rank adventurer. Standing up, Alto tells him he understands, and if someone like him can be of help, he'll gladly cooperate. The same goes for Stella, saying she'll gladly accompany them as well. With that, both Reinhard and Alto shake each other's hand to seal the deal. The day of the expedition has finally come. Entering the large training area, Alto can feel all the tension from the adventurers that have gathered here. Even Stella can feel the air's intensity. Suddenly, they hear someone calling them. When they turned around, it's Wolfen with his arms crossed. Stella immediately asks what the A-ranker wants. Scratching his head, Wolfen tells them it's not really about wanting anything. Wolfen then looks away as he admits that he was wrong yesterday and he got heated and had said some stupid things. This shocks both Alto and Stella, who continue listening to the A-ranker's explanation. Wolfen then details out that the difference between an A-rank and B-rank adventurer is something irreplaceably important to him. However, what he had said yesterday was way out of line. So he apologizes to Stella for saying such things. Stella also apologizes to Wolfen for speaking too harshly without really knowing the guy. Wolfen assures her not to worry about it since he was the one who picked the fight first. Then Wolfen turns to Alto Reise, telling the summoner he owes him a big one. Awkwardly laughing, Alto feigns knowing what the A-ranker means. Changing the subject, Alto then asks him if he's also going on the expedition. Before Wolfen could answer, Tilt chimes in and answers for Wolfen. Of course he's going since there's no way he can take break. Tilt then says if she got beaten up by someone she looked down on and then skipped the expedition, it would be a lifelong embarrassment. This commentary has Wolfen annoyed, asking Tilt if she wants a third chatty mouth to add. As the two bicker, both Alto and Stella watch them awkwardly. Suddenly, Reinhard calls his fellow adventurers' attention and announces they'll begin the 8th expedition. Reinhard then calls Tilt, signaling their transport to the dungeon. Tilt then uses her magic, and as soon as she fires up the paper, everyone and everything starts warping. As soon as Alto opens his eyes, he is stunned to see the place has been reduced to ashes. What was once the defense base of the adventurers is now a place of darkness and void. Everyone realizes something is definitely wrong. Reinhard frantically asks what had happened and why is their base ruined. Suddenly they hear a slicing sound, then a scream from Pavel. His arm has been cut off, spilling blood all over the place. As Pavel drops to his knees in pain, Dwight comes rushing towards him. While Alto's distracted with Pavel's current condition, he doesn't see that a claw-like figure is about to attack him from behind. Reinhard then screams Alto's name. It's a good thing Alto has quick reflexes. The moment Reinhard warns him of the beast, Alto has already attacked the enemy with his summoned sword. Alto's eyes are deadpan as he slays the monster. Looking at it, Alto realizes it's a rare bipedal humanoid monster. Reinhard is once again amazed with the ultra-fast summoning and godlike reaction speed from Alto. When asked if Alto can do close combat, the summoner humbly says it's just basic self-defense. It's Stella who corrects this and says Alto can go all out like a vanguard. This has Reinhard smirking. It's really reassuring him right now that Alto is on their side. Alto then lets out a sigh of breath. Calling him a vanguard is a bit of a stretch when he's the most rear guard of all rear guards. And Alto says that with his deadpan eyes too. Alto draws his sword out as he lunges at the monster, who's also ready to wipe the summoner out. At the last minute, Alto dodges its attack before landing an air attack at the monster. Still, the monster manages to block Alto's attack. They're both still standing as everyone watches in amazement. Reinhard praises the summoner for having quite the arm he has. A humble Alto still has his focus on the enemy, but doesn't really see anything special with what he has. Suddenly, the monster begins screeching loudly as light engulfs it. Seeing this, Alto is surprised this monster can also use magic. At the very least, this should be a B rank. Judging by its magical capabilities, it's definitely an A-class monster. The monster then tries using its hands, alarming Reinhard as this seems like it's using an unknown magic formula. This poses a bad threat to everyone within the area. At Reinhard's order, everyone scatters around. However, Alto thinks he might be faster than escaping. With his summoning skills, Alto produces multiple magic circles above the monster. And when I say multiple, it's a lot. This is what they call consecutive summoning. At Stella's behest, everyone gets down. With one flick of his hand, Alto's magic circles begin bringing out swords. Then a loud explosion surrounds the monster as it's being rendered immobile. Everyone around braces themselves for that powerful impact, even amazed with the scale of the massive summoning Alto has. The explosion lasts for quite some time, and when the smoke clears, Alto sees the monster unconscious on the ground. Watching all this, Reinhard realizes the speed of Alto's spell deployment is ultra-fast. The power and range are flawless, and his judgment is also precise. As he stares at Alto, the A-class adventurer knows the summoner would one day reign as a special class adventurer. Alto then snaps him back to reality by asking if they can actually capture the monsters similar to that one earlier alive instead of killing them. The summoner is curious about something about them. Although confused, Reinhard agrees and informs everyone else. With that, Alto summons Dream Demon's sheep coffin. Out comes a sheep carrying a coffin. According to Alto, when the sheep is sleeping, time stops inside the coffin. The monster from earlier was a bit strange, so Alto thought they might preserve it alive. After placing the monster inside, Alto asks the demon sheep if it could sleep for about 3 hours. However, the sheep shakes its head vehemently, making Alto's brows furrow. So the summoner has no choice but to try to negotiate with the sheep, saying he'll give it about 3 days worth of tro fruit. The demon sheep's eyes starts twinkling in pure joy, approving Alto's deal. After that, the demon sheep goes back into the darkness, letting Alto sigh as he thinks how mercenary the sheep still is. Next up, Alto uses armed summoning to procure the king's key Sigurd. Alto then plants in safely on the ground. Although Alto knows the casualty will be fine, he needs this as insurance. After all, there's nothing wrong with being extra cautious. This has Reinhard even more confused, but he trusts the summoner with what he's doing. After that, they start walking to survey the whole area. They quickly note what a terrible state the place is in right now. Even Alto agrees. Now, Stella's curious if the monster from earlier was the one who wreaked havoc on this place. As Alto looks from left to right, even he can't answer Stella's answer. But one thing's for sure, everything feels strange. Despite all this destruction, there's not a single trace of blood to be found. Alto's suspicions grow more and more each passing hour. A while later, Reinhard assembles everyone to inform them of the sudden changes to their plans. From here on, the first team will investigate the anomaly in the 7th layer or the 7th district. The second and third teams, along with Tilt, will wait in this area for now. If anything happens, Reinhard wants them to fire a smoke round to warn everyone. After that, Reinhard asks Wolfen, Alto, and Stella to accompany him. The group then ventures out to look for some of the missing adventures. However, Reinhard screams for Evans, Claire, and Hamston goes unanswered. This just makes things even odder than it already is. Reinhard knows the previous monster was an A-class level threat. However, they left 3 capable A-rank adventurers in the 7th District in case. To him, it's hard to believe that a single creature could have taken them all out. This means there might be an even greater unknown threat lurking somewhere. With that, Reinhard wants to proceed with even more caution from there on out. Alto then asks Reinhard to wait for a moment because he wants to do something before they leave. Using his summoning, Alto lets out Dendengama, a cute little frog. After asking the frog to do the usual for him, Dendengama starts sniffing in a large amount of air before releasing a beacon-like signal around the area. Alto praises the frog from having a beautiful voice as ever. When Reinhard asks about the frog, Alto explains that Dendengama can use special magical vibrations to search a wide area. It's quite an amazing creature. Alto then asks the frog if it found anything. After Dendengama reports to the summoner, Reinhard asks him about it. However, Alto can't reply with a direct answer just yet. Instead, he asks if Reinhard has a map of this area, to which the adventurer does. Giving Alto a simple map, Alto then points somewhere in the area. Although there were no magical reactions in the vicinity, Dendengama did feel a slight disturbance in magical energy around the area where Alto's pointing at. For now, Alto can't tell if it's friend or foe, but it seems someone is hiding. Looking at it, Reinhard realizes it's actually near the 3rd warehouse. So Reinhard informs everyone they'll go and check it out while staying alert of their surroundings. Not long after, they all arrive at the warehouse and quickly survey the surroundings. However, there seems to be no one in here. Alto believes it's because whoever is here is in hiding. Wolfen is puzzled as to how that could happen when the warehouse alone is cramped and tiny. Alto takes out Dendengama once more and asks if it can do a slightly bigger search than before. After agreeing, the frog does its usual. After moments of waiting for what comes out, they hear a loud scream from nearby. A trembling man is now out in the open, sitting on the ground. Wolfen is beyond to see the man since he wasn't there a while ago. Alto then explains that the man was probably hiding using a shadow concealment magic, which was dispelled by the frog's magical vibrations. The man then pleads for his life. Reinhard then realizes he actually knows this man, whose name is Thorsten. Reinhard then expresses how glad he is to see that Keynes is safe. Then he quickly asks what had happened to the place and where have all the 7th District adventurers gone to. Still shaken up, Keynes stutters as he tells Reinhard they all went below. Keynes starts tearing up as he explains how a mysterious man came up from the 6th and had taken everyone out in an instant. This revelation, of course, shocks everyone in the room. The Group 10 return to the central area of the 7th District to reunite with everyone else. With the information they just got, Reinhard gives them the bad news of canceling the 8 expedition, which causes quite the reaction from everyone. Tilt, being one of them, can't believe Reinhard is asking them to abandon all temporary bases from the 7th to the 1st District. Reinhard confirms what he just said, but Tilt isn't satisfied with his answer yet, and asks if he has any idea how hard they've all worked to get this far. Of course he does, Tilt. This isn't an easy decision to make for Reinhard. However, the adventurers, except for Keynes, have all likely perished. An unknown monster that suddenly attacked them, the fearsome being that annihilated the 7th District, and the 8th layer where the great Demon Lord's relic is thought to be located. These are far too many uncertainties to continue the expedition. With that, Reinhard asks Tilt to teleport all of them back to the large training area immediately. Sighing, Tilt has no choice but to comply. She does, however, complain how it's always heal this or teleport that. Anyways, Tilt does her usual and summons a large flame. However, her magic seems to have done nothing because everyone is still at the 7th District. Tilt looks at her hands with a worried expression. Then she asks Reinhard to listen to what she has to say calmly. Tilt then meekly reveals that her transfer magic seems to be rendered useless. This surprises everyone, especially Wolfen, who immediately goes to Tilt and asks what nonsense she's spouting. Tilt quickly defends herself, asking Wolfen not to get so angry because she's just as confused and troubled by this. Alto then turns to Dwight, realizing what this could mean. Dwight confirms Alto's suspicions. It seems a barrier has been placed around the entire dungeon. Welcomes all who enter, permits none to leave. Just like a mousetrap. When Reinhard asks if there's anything they could do about this, Dwight explains there are broadly 3 ways to break a barrier spell. 1. Take down the barrier caster. 2. Destroy the origin point of the spell. And lastly, 3rd, break the spell itself. For now, they can't pinpoint the caster's location. The spell's origin is also unknown and they can't even grasp the full extent of the spell. Dwight informs them that breaking the barrier in this situation is an extremely difficult task. Hearing this has Reinhard utterly frustrated. Stella then chimes in to suggest on descending to the 1st layer. Tilt immediately opposes this, saying that's an impossible task. It'll take them long to get to the first layer with where they are right now, and even before thinking of this, they'll be completely short on magical power and supplies. Aside from that, Stella realizes they'll also have that mysterious man from below, which means the bases below the 6th district have likely been destroyed as well. Moreover, Reinhard also knows A-rank class monsters are probably lurking on the path. This only means one thing: they have no choice but to press on. With Reinhard leading the way, all the other adventurers follow suit. Not long after, they finally arrive at the 8th layer of the dungeon. As soon as they step in, everyone immediately feels the intense miasma surrounding the place. Reinhard then reminds everyone to be extremely careful from now on since they're in a completely uncharted territory. Wolfen only smirks at Reinhard's warning. There's no way he's gonna play it safe when the monsters are already trying to make an appearance. And by monsters, it's the same type of monsters as before. Alto immediately calls out to Reinhard, who then tells everyone not to kill the monsters but to capture them alive instead. Wolfen and Tilt are both complaining with battling out these monsters. Not like they have much choice. Even Reinhard and Stella are busy focusing on battling out these monsters. Everyone else is doing the same. Before they know it, all the monsters are knocked out. Looking at the scene, Alto breathes out a sigh of relief. That takes care of most of the monsters now. The summoner's attention is then redirected to Wolfen, who's standing in front of a double door. Seeing this as a nice and straightforward gesture, Wolfen wastes no time and kicks the doors open. Everyone is immediately greeted by an even stronger miasma presence reeking from inside. Upon entering, they all see the Demon Lord's throne chair. Sitting on it is a large beating heart. Reinhard already knows what it is, and so does everyone else. There's no doubt at all. That's the great Demon Lord's cursed object. Suddenly they hear footsteps approaching. Then a man's voice comes out complaining how he had heard some commotion and figured they had some guests. Without further ado, the man greets everyone, introducing himself as Regulus Rod, one of the 10 demon magic users. With that, his eyes begin to darken as he asks everyone to remember him well. The mere sight of Regulus is a calamity incarnate for Alto. The demon magic user is all smiles while scanning the silence-filled room. Then he makes eye contact with Alto, who immediately feels the dangerous aura from Regulus. Alto thinks this one is incomparable to the A-rank monster they just fought. Probably off the charts at that. Regulus is a monster who sits at the special class level, making him a danger to everyone in this room. Reinhard then steps forward to thank Regulus for his polite introduction, which he appreciates. When asked who he is, Reinhard also introduces himself before asking about the 10 demon magic users. Regulus then gladly explains how the 10 demon magic users are comrades gathered for a noble purpose. Nothing more, nothing less. To what that noble purpose might be, Regulus dryly chuckles as he sarcastically notes how it should be obvious by now. Their noble purpose is the complete revival of the great Demon Lord. Of course, this revelation shocks everyone. That's not good news for them or the entire world. Alto thinks it's an impossible task to begin with. How can they revive a life lost 1,000 years ago? Regulus may have sensed the question lingering in the air, so he smirks and tells everyone that 1,000 years is just a moment when put into words. They've been waiting all this time for this moment, for this year, for this instant. Regulus then enthusiastically shares how they've been currently preparing for the Great Ritual. And to make this happen, they need a large quantity of items related to the Demon Lord, aka his relics. Obviously, the heart on the throne chair is one of those relics. It's actually the Demon Lord's own heart. Regulus's eyes turn into one struck with obsession as he drools over the Demon Lord's heart. He even asks everyone if they also think it's beautiful, since to him they are just mouth-watering. While everyone else seems appalled, Reinhard tries to be courteous and tells Regulus that aesthetic sense differs from person to person. After that, Reinhard asks the demon magic user about something. Reinhard's eyes are now serious as he asks if Regulus was the one who attacked the 7th district. Although initially confused, Regulus thinks long and hard about it and ultimately remembers the tidy residential area which he crushed by the way. Regulus then feigns being heartbroken over it. He says it pained his heart to destroy such a well-organized architecture. If only the adventurers hadn't rampaged needlessly, it could have been preserved in its beautiful state. Reinhard is now brimming with anger as he listens to Regulus saying it was such a waste to do so. Then, the A-ranker calmly asks about the missing bodies of their comrades, and perhaps Regulus might have kept them alive. Regulus's face brightens with joy as he confirms that he did. Regulus shares how much he despises waste more than anything in this world, so of course he couldn't squander the precious radiance of life. With that, Reinhard politely asks if he may request for Regulus to return their comrades to them. Now Regulus's face is etched with confusion, confirming if they didn't come here to kill. Although Reinhard's puzzled with Regulus's words, Alto, on the other hand, is now angry as this just confirms his suspicions earlier. With manic eyes, Regulus asks the A-ranker if they hadn't met his failures along the way to the throne room. Regulus even emphasizes how there were many along the way, too. It takes a while for Reinhard to piece it all together. Watching Reinhard's horrified face has Regulus bursting in laughter. He then reveals that the monsters lurking around are actually their precious comrades. That's not all. Regulus then commands the monsters to come out for everyone to see. Everyone is beyond shocked. Could these monsters in the 7th district really be their comrades? Regulus is very proud of his creation. Because his unique magic has a peculiar power, he can transfer life. Originally, his power was used to give life to non-living things like stones and flowers for fun. But recently, Regulus has been able to apply it to living beings as well. After that, Regulus turns towards the monsters as he tries to identify them. The one who escaped yesterday was Evans. Then Regulus points to his left, saying that one is Claire and the one to the right is Hamston. Or maybe it's the other way around. Regulus isn't so sure now. The adventurers are appalled with this new information, especially when Regulus turns to them to apologize for not being very good at remembering human faces and names. Alto remembers those names from Reinhard earlier. Evans, Claire, and Hamston are the names of the A-rank adventurers Reinhard was looking for. Speaking of Reinhard, he's not in good shape as he stares at the abomination that has become of his comrades. The monsters even starts crying as they mutter Reinhard's name, apologizing as they ask for help. This just makes matters even worse. Regulus then joyfully asks them if they're as amazed as he is with his creation. This is actually an experiment to see how far they can monsterize humans while maintaining their self-consciousness. First, Regulus extracts the life force from some random monster, then he injects it into a human which forcibly fuses the two lives. And voila, he has a monster human with the characteristics of both human and monster. And to note, Regulus is especially amazed with how sturdy the bodies of A-rank adventurers are. They're the best experimental subjects, not easily breaking even under extreme modifications. Seeing Regulus so happy is getting on Alto's nerves. He's a true monster for thinking so lowly and playing with human life. Meanwhile, Reinhard is already seething through his teeth. His anger is evident, especially that his sword is now fired up. With that, Reinhard lunges at Regulus with vigorous distaste. He'll never forgive this monster for what he's done to his precious comrades. But before Reinhard's sword can land a blow on Regulus, the monster has already created barrier to protect him. Reinhard is stunned to see this barrier. His demon-slaying sword, Gura, can cut through any demonic force, so this is beyond impossible right now. Regulus laughs out loud, mocking Reinhard for his inept abilities. Turns out, Regulus himself is also quite confident with his barrier techniques. His countermeasures against demon-slaying types are especially perfect. The monster then says Reinhard is nowhere near enough to break his barrier, especially with Reinhard's level of output. Suddenly, Regulus's laughter stops when Alto intervenes and tells him to shut up. Alto's eyes are way too serious. Before Regulus could even make a single reaction, his face is met with a sounding punch. This attack then sends him flying to the wall, literally looking like a fly on the wall. Alto's attack, idol summoning Twin God Agora, really landed a good blow on the demon magic user. Despite the powerful attack, Regulus still manages to stand on his 2 feet. He then asks who just attacked him, to which Alto answers, introducing himself as a D-rank adventurer. Regulus repeats Alto's words, not believing the summoner just called himself a D-rank adventurer. The demon then asks him to stop spouting lies when it's obvious Alto's not in the D-rank league. With Alto's magical power, Regulus can't believe he's just D-rank. Judging from the fact that Alto wasn't on the official list of adventurers, Regulus believes the summoner is an unregistered special class adventurer. All this yapping doesn't really bode well with Alto's mood, so he commands Agora to use city-breaking wing strike on Regulus. The winged beast then lunges for Regulus, who's amazed with the incredible power he's seeing. However, unlike last time, Regulus is ready to take defense and uses Divine Butterfly Reincarnation. His defense magic renders Alto's twin god Agora in painful swelling before Regulus signals for it to explode into bits and pieces. Regulus licks his pointer finger as he deems this level of magic still not enough to defeat the 10 demon magic users. Stella, who's been watching the battle, is stunned to see Agora being taken out in just one hit. Regulus's magic spell earlier, Divine Spiral Reincarnation, is magic that interferes with life itself. That unusual reaction just now was Agora's life force running wild inside, causing self-destruction. The fact that Regulus deliberately received the city-breaking wing strike with his right hand suggests the activation condition is to contact with the target before it can be unleashed. Now, if Alto assumed that only the right hand is the starting point, is a bit naive of him. At minimum, Alto should be wary of the left hand too. As a matter of fact, there's Regulus's entire body which Alto doesn't want to think about yet. While Alto's headspace is preoccupied, Regulus asks him if he's really a summoner. Before Alto could even answer, Regulus is already in his face asking if Alto could do close combat as well. Alto's on high alert, realizing Regulus has really fast moves. He quickly uses armed summoning, Twin Thunderblade to thwart Regulus's attack. The demon smiles evilly as he steps back from Alto's counterattack. Then, he uses Divine Spiral Reincarnation again to heal the slash Alto had made. Regulus then bursts out laughing. That was pretty surprising to him since he didn't expect Alto to be capable in close combat too. Alto stands on high alert, focusing his eyes on Regulus's next move. In his mind, he's trying to decipher what kind of high-speed regeneration Regulus had uses earlier. But then, the summoner realizes it might be livestock after all. When he mentions this to Regulus, the demon is surprised that Alto had figured it out so quickly. With that, the demon realizes Alto might be a bit troublesome now. Alto believes that the demon probably uses Divine Spiral Reincarnation to gradually extract his own life force and store it as stock. By using that when he suffers a fatal wound, Regulus can achieve pseudo-high-speed regeneration. In other words, this is a troublesome skill to Alto. To defeat Regulus, Alto must either have to deplete all the life he's stocked up until now or take him out in a single blow. What Alto wasn't ready for is a compliment coming from Regulus, who calls the summoner amazing. Regulus is amazed because Alto is an all-range type summoner who can handle close, mid, and long-range combat. That's pretty rare and is getting the demon pretty amped up. With that, Regulus uses Divine Butterfly Reincarnation and touches the ground. This magic spell has weird black rope-like magic manifesting. Stella then screams at Alto, telling him about the carpet. Alto then uses Phenomenon Summoning, Kirin's Breath, unleashing a whirl of strong wind. Regulus is smiling as he sees yet another powerful summoning from his foe. Then he realizes that a head-on battle doesn't seem to be in his favor. Changing things up a bit, Regulus transports himself at the back of one of the adventurers and grabs him by the head. Regulus then throws the adventurer towards Alto, who now has think on what to do. If he dodges here, that person will crash into the wall and die. Alto acts fast and summons Earnet Rabbit so the adventurer could safely land on the net instead. However, Regulus thinks kindness is Alto's weakness. With that, Regulus is already mid-air, ready to unleash Divine Spiral Reincarnation. But before Regulus could even touch a single strand of Alto's hair, the summoner is already being pulled backwards by his slime. He stretched out a slime, attached it to his back and the wall, then suddenly contracted it for an emergency evasion. An interesting move according to Regulus. However, the demon is adamant on not letting Alto escape. Using Divine Butterfly Reincarnation, Regulus touches the walls, and the brick starts aiming towards Alto. The summoner quickly uses Lightning Style, Fourth Sword Purple Lightning, to try and break all the incoming bricks. There were some that he missed, so Alto got him around the shoulder and knee. This has Stella worried now. However, Alto only assures her that it was just a graze and he's absolutely fine. Regulus even commends him for being strong, and to think he's supposed to be a support type. A summoner of Alto's level is like a magician to him. Regulus then asks Alto if he's starting to get tired now. However, Alto is far beyond tired. In fact, they're just getting warmed up. His answer impresses Regulus even more, especially the impressive amount of magical power Alto has. In Regulus's mind, he realizes Alto must be using a considerable amount of magical power having to do such large-scale summons in the first place. Alto doesn't seem like he's bluffing too. Aiming for magical power depletion sounds like an unrealistic plan for Regulus. So Regulus decides to try a different approach to this situation. He then calls everyone's attention to let them behold the masterpiece that he, Regulus Rod, has poured his heart and soul into. With his Divine Spiral Reincarnation, Regulus has the floors rising, causing everyone else to start panicking. Not long after, the monsters he had created starts coming forth. And it's not just one or two, it's a lot. The number of human monsters shocks all the adventurers. There must be at least 100 of them too. Tilt then asks if all these monsters were created from adventurers too. Wulfen immediately dismisses the idea since there weren't this many people in the 7th district to begin with. His answer has Reinhardt in a standstill. He can feel his heart drop as he realizes something. Regulus had used all the B-rank adventurers who were protecting districts 1 through 6. Everyone is stunned to the core. How can someone be so cruel? Regulus only laughs as he bolsters about his magnificent creation. Smirking at Alto, the demon then sarcastically tells him how delighted he'll be if the summoner is impressed. Impressed is the opposite of what Alto's feeling right now. Maybe try infuriated, that should work. It's not every day these guys hear that their fellow B-rank adventurers who were protecting the 1st to 6th bases are now monsters. So of course, it's a mixed reaction from the crowd. Disbelief, anger. Wulfen even spots Tilt on the ground, seemingly weakened upon seeing the brooch one of the monsters is wearing. It's the one she gave her friend Mashu for her birthday. Tilt's face is now etched with a horrified look as she doesn't want to believe all of this is happening. Question is, will everyone be truly okay? This has Regulus in a teasing mood, asking Tilt and Wulfen if the monsters were their friends. He even tells them he can call their friends over if they'd like. Both Wulfen and Tilt are furious with this demon. With this growing tension, Reinhard then assures his fellow adventurers not to worry because the healers in the royal capital should be able to turn their monsterized comrades back to normal. All they have to do is make sure not to kill them, and just inflict moderate damage to restrain their limbs. Now Regulus is up on his dramatic antics again. He's now faking being touched that Reinhard and the others are still calling these monsters their comrades even in such an ugly state. Regulus fakes his tears as he utters how beautiful the bonds are between humans. Then a smile starts forming on his manic face before he laughs like the crazy monster that he is, calling it too bad for the adventurers since monster humans can never return to their original bodies. Regulus reveals that his creations are neither human nor monster but an entirely new life form. This is an absolutely irreversible change, and no amount of recovery magic can cure it. Regulus singles out Alto's anger from everyone else. The summoner looks like he's about to devour the demon whole at this rate, which makes Regulus think is letting him gain the upper hand. Alto becomes enraged when his comrades are hurt more than himself. To a demon like Regulus, he believes that when emotions waver, magical power wavers as well. And when magical power wavers, spell formulas waver. With that, Regulus gets the most brilliant idea of gnawing at Alto's feelings like this even more. He then commands his monsters to get to work now. Meanwhile, Alto is having the dilemma of his life. This is really bad. 2 A-rank adventurers turned into monsters. Let's not forget the number of B-rank adventurers who are at Regulus's beck and call. On top of that, Regulus has his instant death attacks. This situation really is dangerous, not just to Alto, but to everyone in this room. As Regulus announces for the second round to begin, Dwight has already called him a fool for wasting too much time yapping. Dwight is already on his knees, beginning his puppet human technique. As the old man unleashes bind onto the ground, all the monsters are now restrained from moving. Regulus is now seeing his children restricted. Dwight explains how he's already analyzed the structure of Regulus's spell formula, Divine Spiral Reincarnation. He has improvised a spell to restrict its control abilities. Dwight may be old, but he's still the Dwight Dumbbell, an adventurer who vows not to lose to another manipulation-type spellcaster. Regulus smiles, praising the old man for being good at improvising, but in his mind, Regulus already considers Dwight as a bit of a threat to his plan. Before he could even do or devise another plan, Regulus's eyes widen in surprise as he sees Alto already using legendary summoning to manifest the great waterfall of the isolated sea. As Regulus gets engulfed by the sea, he smiles thinking Alto's magical output is literally insane. Without a doubt, Alto is the most troublesome to his plans. Alto's not even done with his attack just yet, using idle summoning to call in Phantom God Agnum. Regulus is already being ripped when Alto lunges at him using armed summoning, Great Severance Sword. A huge explosion eats Regulus's entirety. If he were an ordinary demon, Regulus would have been dead by now. On the other hand, the demon also realizes how merciless Alto is with his moves. In terms of raw magical power, the summoner is already at the upper special class level. And what's more, Regulus can't even see Alto's limits at all. Alto Reise is the living manifestation of the demon clan's ultimate foe. Because this summoner might someday be able to reach the great demon lord's level. However, Alto's just a teenager right now, making this the perfect opportunity for Regulus. Might as well kill him while he hasn't fully matured and reached his full potential, right? Meanwhile, Alto is already gesturing his hands for his next summoning, calling everyone else to press an attack at once. As the siren emerges from his summoning, Reinhard realizes Alto's plan. A determined smile forms on Reinhard's face as he recognizes what type of summoned beast Alto had called. Everyone looks at each other as if passing the plan along. When the adventurers start charging at Regulus, the demon laughs as he repeats what he had said earlier. Their output isn't enough to break his barrier technique. But then, Regulus realizes something is amiss. It's already too late for that though, because Reinhard is already mid-air and ready to plunge his sword into the demon. And he successfully does so. Regulus screams in pain as Reinhard's attack hits him good. Writhing in pain, Regulus blames Alto and his powers for this. The demon evilly smiles as he singles out Alto again. The siren has no attack power, but her song contains a special formula. Her beautiful voice maximizes all abilities of allies who hear it. Thus, all these adventurers are now at their full potential, making Regulus susceptible to their attacks. And not just that, their simultaneous attacks on Regulus has left the demon short on both offense and defense. Now's the time Alto's waiting for. Making another hand sign, Alto needs to finish Regulus before he can regenerate with Divine Spiral Reincarnation. However, Regulus utters how exhausting his disposition is. He really doesn't want to use it, but being cornered like this leaves him with no other choice. Regulus's face is now the very personification of a true demon. Everyone surrounding Regulus has taken a halt, as if waiting for the demon's next move. Regulus seems to be bended over with his head down, magical power oozing from him. This isn't looking good at all. Reinhard immediately commands everyone to get away from Regulus, whose demonic eyes are locked in as he uses Phantom Summoning Life Flow Realm. Almost immediately, red spider lilies begin filling the room surrounding Regulus and the adventurers. With manic eyes, Regulus tells the adventurers how much their futile efforts are appreciated. However, he's still way above them. Phantom summoning is a supreme technique that projects one's unique magic into the real world, distorting the principles of the mortal realm. Within the life flow realm, not only is Alto's summoning, but all magic is sealed. With that, only Regulus's divine spiral reincarnation will function properly. Case in point, once Regulus uses phantom summoning on them, they'll lose any chance of winning. There's only way to counter this attack, which has Regulus's smile fading. The seal to his phantom summoning isn't closing, and it's because of Alto's magic. This is the only way to stop Regulus's phantom world from fully completing. Alto focuses himself on releasing his magical power, stopping Regulus's spell momentarily. Regulus then calls the summoner a monster for recklessly releasing such enormous residual magical power. And to compete with Regulus's phantom summoning? Alto's face starts wincing as this solution is taking a toll on him. But if he fails now, everyone including Alto will be killed. Alto then turns to Reinhard, who expresses his gratitude for having the summoner on their side. After all, Alto's the only reason why they're still hanging by a thread right now. Now they just need to think of a way to turn the situation around. However, Alto immediately tells him there's no need for that since the groundwork for their comeback has already been laid. Alto just needs time to activate it. Hearing Alto mention this has Regulus curious and at the same time a bit worried. Just what is this summoner playing at now? Reinhard asks if it's really true. Alto isn't one to lie. He then reminds Reinhard of the king's key he left into the 7th District's grounds. The catalyst to that is Alto's blood, which he had scattered in the 4 corners of this room. Now that the preparations are already complete, Alto can now begin his plan. Reinhard is silently amazed in Alto's quick thinking. In the small amount of time they've known each other, this kid has made multiple grand moves and has always been 2 steps ahead of everyone. Alto then asks the A ranker for 5 seconds. No, 3 will be enough. All Alto wants is for Reinhard and the others to disrupt Regulus's concentration and stop the expansion of his phantom summoning. Heeding Alto's request, Reinhard commands everyone to release all his magical power and charge at Regulus. They can't hold back anymore and might as well consider this as the final attack of their lives. With determined faces, all the adventurers give it their all. Stella uses Flame Emperor Bullet. Reinhard has unleashed his Severance style, Divine Slash. Wolfen also joins in with his Werewolf Mighty technique, Devastating Ash Barrier Fist. All these attacks, including the others, has Regulus completely preoccupied. But the demon quickly utters Divine Spiral Reincarnation again, making Alto worry about the closing phantom world even more. This is truly their last chance. So Alto closes his eyes and establishes a connection with King's Key. After filling the summoning formula drawn in the throne room with magical power, he then starts building the pathway to the summoned beast. After that, Alto is now sweating as he makes the last requirement to his plan, forming the hand sign. His eyes widen when Regulus screams at him, telling the summoner it's already too late for him because phantom summoning is now complete. Regulus smirks, mocking the summoner for whatever it was he was planning to do, but it looks like it was all in vain. Everyone is now looking at Regulus in disbelief. They didn't expect to not make it in time. The demon barks out a loud laugh, revealing that victory is now, as since phantom summoning is now complete, as Regulus claims his absolute victory. His left arm suddenly gets chopped off. Regulus screams in pain, calling this an impossible thing to happen. But it is possible, and it's all because of one person, Alto. Although he's left out of breath, Alto is thankful that he made it right on time to manifest divine heritage summoning Heracles. Now, Heracles stands tall and proud before Regulus, waiting for Alto's next command. Alto, on the other hand, is thinking on how close that was. If he had been a fraction of a second late, Regulus's world would have been completed and his summoning would have failed. Alto fully believes he has crushed Regulus Rod's trump card. From here on out, it's Alto's turn to completely destroy the demon with everything he's got. Listening to this has Regulus gritting his teeth. The demon knows Alto means it. Regulus, in pain, curses Alto for destroying his life flow realm. Alto knows phantom summoning consumes enormous magical power and that he can't perform a second summoning in such a short time. With Alto's call, Heracles goes straight at the demon magic user who still thinks he's all that. As soon as Heracles closes in, Regulus touches the beast's chest and uses Divine Butterfly Reincarnation. Not long after, Heracles explodes into Abyss. Everyone watches in surprise while Regulus mocks Alto for how easy his summoning got destroyed. Regulus then smirks, taunting Alto further by saying he shouldn't act like the summoner has already won. Alto is unfazed, revealing how that was just Heracles' weakest first form. This stuns Regulus, but something behind him stuns him even more. As Regulus turns around, he is faced with Heracles' embodiment once more. Before he could even say anything, Heracles throws a sounding punch into Regulus' face. Regulus is seen flying and coughing in pain as Heracles continues attacking him. The great hero Heracles. In the ancient age of the gods, he overcame the 12 labors imposed by the gods. A legendary man who approached divinity while still immortal. To truly kill him, one must take his life 12 times and then defeat the true Heracles that emerges, called the 13th great hero. Well, that's 1 down and 12 to go. After Heracles lands yet another kick at Regulus, the demon coughs again in pain. He now realizes how troublesome this has become. In his current state, Regulus won't be able to completely kill this summoned beast. Alto calmly asks if the demon will give up now. A smile forms on Regulus's face, saying he absolutely won't surrender. He's just going to return to basics for a moment. With that, Regulus uses Divine Butterfly Reincarnation again, but this time he pours it all into one huge magical ball of power. This is Regulus Rod's final magic dedicated to Alto Reise. To Regulus, humans are merely ignorant, foolish, and immature children of an inferior race. Such carelessness and arrogance led to Regulus's disgraceful state. With that, Regulus no longer sees Alto as someone beneath him. Instead, Regulus is going to unleash this final magic as if fighting a great summoner from the age of the gods. Once Regulus's magic is complete, the huge ball then turns into a small one, alerting Alto in the process. Regulus grants life to the air, filling the sphere and causing it to self-destruct. After repeated cycles of birth and death, the absolute vacuum is born. As Regulus utters Divine Spiral Reincarnation, collapse, the tiny ball of fury begins cracking, and a strong force of magical power is unleashed towards Alto. The ultimate strike infused with all of Regulus's magical power into this tiny ball that contains tremendous amounts of energy. This is the end for Alto Reise's existence, Regulus says. However, Alto is already commanding Heracles to unleash its 13th form along with the treasured sword Marmiador's. With that, Alto instructs the beast to unleash all remaining magical power on Regulus. As soon as Alto utters Annihilate, Heracles swings the sword towards Regulus, instantly knocking the demon out. Regulus is now reduced to only his upper body. Even in this dying state, Regulus is still breathing, hard, and in pain. Alto is also surprised to see Regulus still breathing too. Tears begin streaking down the demon's face, realizing he's no longer of use to the great demon lord. This is just a pathetic and shameful way of dying. Regulus has dedicated his entire body and soul to the great demon lord. Until the very last moment of his life, he must work for the demon lord. Making a hand sign, Regulus uses the very bit of his magic to morph the monster humans. The adventurers start screaming as they see their comrades who were turned into monsters suddenly start swelling up. Regulus manically commands his children to come and gather around to be a part of Regulus Rod's great final act of comedy. Regulus then tells the adventurers to open their eyes wide so they can witness the fate of their dear comrades. A truly cruel and ugly death. An empty and worthless end. As Regulus screams for them to burn the sight into their souls, he then uses Divine Spiral Reincarnation, Release. But then, nothing happens. Everyone is silently watching, surprised that nothing is happening. Even Regulus himself is left dumbfounded. He then screams, "Why? Why is no one exploding?" This is when Alto chimes in, apologizing that Regulus's plans aren't going exactly as he wants it to happen. With that, Alto closes his eyes and unlocks King's Key. In the name of Alto Reise, he nullifies the choice of events inscribed in causality. The monster humans then return to their human forms. Regulus watches this scene in pure shock. This is supposed to be impossible. His creations weren't supposed to return to their original forms at all. Meanwhile, Tilt reunites with her dear friend Mashu. She hugs Mashu, ugly crying as she expresses how glad she is that Mashu is okay. Regulus is in a desperate state. This is absolutely impossible. Life destroyed by Divine Spiral Reincarnation should be irreparable by any means. Alto then confirms the demon's words, saying it was definitely an irreversible destruction. It absolutely cannot be healed by recovery magic. So Alto made it like it never happened. This has Regulus stunned. Alto's deadpan eyes bore into what's left of Regulus as he reveals that the fact that Regulus Rod used Divine Spiral Reincarnation to transform adventurers into monsters never happened. Alto has altered the past so the monster humans could return to their human forms. Regulus is irked right now, saying there's no way it's possible. But it is possible with the King's Key. Though royal interference has many limitations, so it's not that versatile, but Alto doesn't have to reveal that secret to this demon. Versatile summoning magic is an extraordinary power to alter the past, and above all, an inexhaustible magical power. Now Regulus is certain, this child will eventually reach the realm of fantasy and bare his fangs at the great demon lord. He must somehow inform the other 10 demon magic users about this unprecedented threat named Alto Reise. Suddenly, Regulus starts thrashing around, alerting everyone surrounding him. Then, a voice booms the place and says he's glad to have made it in time. Blinding light then engulfs Regulus. Reinhard believes this is a new enemy emerging, and true to that, there is a mysterious, cloaked man standing and hong Regulus's body. Seeing this man, Alto can already feel he's a strong one. The summoner then asks the mysterious man if he's the comrade of the 10 demon magic users. But the man says being called as one of the 10 demon magic users is a difficult question to answer. For now, maybe he is. When Alto asks if he's here to help his comrade, the man says that's supposedly correct. Regulus's divine spiral reincarnation is perfect for finding vessels for him. That's why he needs the demon alive. The man doesn't really answer in detail, making Alto realize this man has no intention of explaining and could be hiding something bigger. The man then informs Alto they'll be taking their leave now, but Alto already has his hand out, not wanting to let these demons escape. The man calls this troublesome because he's not really in the mood to fight right now, so he'd just appreciate it if Alto lets this one go. But Alto isn't budging, calling this a difficult request to comply. Before Alto can finish his summoning, the man already has his hand out with a strong magical power aimed at Stella. The man asks Alto again if he's really sure he won't let them go. Alto realizes he can't have his friend be in danger because of him. So in exchange, he tells the man not to lay a hand on Stella and the others. The man politely thanks Alto and praises him for being a kind person. With that, the man starts doing hand signs in order for him to transport out of the room with Regulus. Before completely vanishing, he tells everyone he has one request, and that's to take care of the Great Demon Lord's heart. Alto then reminds the man that that's the Great Demon Lord's relic and is supposed to be as equally important to the 10 demon users as it is to them. The man agrees, but then he explains it can't be used just yet. Neither can it be destroyed and sealed, so might as well entrust it to Alto for now. The man then gives Alto a small smile, telling the summoner it might be you. When Alto asks about the cryptic message, the man tells him he'll understand eventually because they are bound to meet again. And when that time comes, the man hopes to have a much deeper conversation with Alto. Once the man and Regulus are gone, Alto looks at everyone. Defeating Regulus, saving the adventurers, and securing the Great Demon Lord's relic are supposedly major feats indicating their victory. However, Alto doesn't feel like they've won, especially knowing that the 10 demon magic users are somewhere out there existing. That is the end of the recap at Chapter 15. Please read the pinned comment about the next part.